Welcome to What in the Duck podcast. I'm your host, Oliver Peck. What in the Duck podcast is proud to be sponsored by Dream Machines of Texas, www.dreammachinesoftexas.com. All your used motorcycle wants and needs all in one place at www.dreammachinesoftexas.com. They have multiple locations with large inventory and get new bikes in every week. Knowledgeable staff with great service and financing and extended warranty options available. They also have a complete service garage, so every bike is gone through and brought up to speed before you hit the road. I have bought more than a few bikes from Dream Machines over the years, and I could not be more satisfied. I've also had friends from all over the country buy bikes from Dream Machines because they couldn't find a better deal anywhere. You can buy a bike and have it shipped to you anywhere in the U.S. Why buy a brand new bike with that brand new high price when you can get a like-new bike with that dream deal you've been looking for? Go to www.dreammachinesoftexas.com and get a bike and get your ass on the road. All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of What in the Duck podcast. As always, I am your host, Oliver Peck, and today we have a very special guest interview with the winner of Season 6 of Ink Master. That's right, the one and the only Dave Kruseman. And we're going to talk about Ink Master. We're going to talk about all kinds of things. And I think you're going to really like it. When I started this podcast, I knew that I was going to have to delve into the world of the behind the scenes of Ink Master. And the first person I thought of having on to talk about that particular subject was Dave Kruseman, mostly because I'm really close friends with him since the show, and I kind of know a lot of his backstory about getting into the show, and it was a very interesting season, the way it played out with him on it, so it just made sense for him to be the one to talk about those kind of things. There's a lot of other people that are on the show that I plan on interviewing as well, but I wanted to, when I getting into this backstory of like the behind the scenes of Ink Master and stuff, Dave Kruseman is the guy I wanted to talk to first. So I've been waiting to make the chance to get that to happen. And this past couple weekends ago, we were both at the same event out in Boise, Idaho. We were at the Party at the Pen, and I was able to set up and record his podcast out there. So it is recorded in a hotel room in Boise, Idaho. And I am now back here at the home base at Miotia's. Record the intro to that. So get ready for Dave Kruseman coming up in just a few short minutes. As always, I got a couple of questions that I'm going to answer from the Gmail. And remember, if you have any questions for me at all about anything, you can email the questions to whatintheduckpodcast@gmail.com. If we answer your question on the show, you will be receiving What in the Duck merchandise, gift pack, party package, whatever you want to call it. You're going to get some cool shit from us here at What in the Duck podcast if we answer your question on the show. So send me any questions over you want. I will say this. There's a lot of questions that are the same question over and over, and I've already answered in numerous videos over the years. The toothpick, the mustache, the red shoes, the stuff like that. I will just refer you to going to our YouTube channel and watching the videos that previously answered those questions. We do have a YouTube channel, and you can check it out, and you can like, you can subscribe, you can share, you can comment. But if you do subscribe, you will be up to date on all the current happenings of What in the Duck podcast. And by subscribing, you will be entered automatically our subscriber drawings where we're giving away cool shit. So, click of a button and you are in it to win it. First question, Andrew Gettelfinger. Fucking lay a finger off my Gettelfinger, dude. Come on. He says, hello, Mr. Peck. I've got a question for the podcast. I apologize if you answered this before. What are you more passionate about? Financial dependability aside. So let's not think about money. Let's just think about what am I more passionate about? It says motorcycles or tattoos. Thank you for your time. Have a great day. Well, Andrew, I'll tell you, one of my first loves in my life was motorized vehicles, go-karts, mini bikes, dirt bikes, motorcycles, going all the way up. I mean, I was heavily invested in the controlling of motors and wheels long before I had a driver's license. My favorite thing in the world was a go-kart track or riding dirt bikes. And but once I got into tattooing, it really became like, I was always an artist and I always drew and I always painted and I always liked to create. But once I got into tattooing, it's really when I found, you know, what I was really passionate about creating. So I think motorcycles is I'm passionate about it in my recreation and my hobby and what I enjoy to do in my free time. But as far as like what I'm passionate about, most passionate about is my own creative ability to do tattoos and be in the tattoo culture, be in the tattoo industry, and being at the tattoo shop with my coworkers and my friends and my clients. That is literally, the thing that's the best. And I feel like I'm actually doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I've said it many times. I travel the world, travel the country nonstop all the time. I'm go, go, go. And no matter where I'm at in the world, it's usually at a tattoo shop. And when I ride my motorcycle across country, I'm usually riding to a tattoo shop. And when I go, like we talked about bike riders tour, like I'm going on the road and going to tattoo shops. I'm doing tattoos. Pretty much every vacation that I've ever been on in my life since I started tattooing, I've taken my tattoo gear with me and tattooed wherever I'm at on vacation. Even if it's just going on a New Year's trip to Hawaii and setting up and we all tattoo each other on New Year's Eve or whatever the case may be, tattooing is always involved. And when I was young and I was, into snowboarding, I would go snowboarding every year and I would go to Durango or I would go to Crescent Butte or I would go to Park Cities. I go wherever I go. I'd always take my tattoo gear, snowboarding the day, set up and tattoo all night. So the answer to your question is tattooing. Live, eat, sleep, breathe, tattooing. That's pretty much what I think about nonstop. And the other question people ask me a lot is like, what's your retirement plan? And I'm like, tattoo till I die. That's the plan. Or tattoo until I just can't do it anymore. And then, which pretty much means I'm dead. And I will share something that I learned last weekend or the weekend before at Party at the Pen. There's a girl that tattooed with us at the event named Stevie Randolin, and she was a tattooer, and then she had some sort of stroke. I do not know the sorry if I'm calling you out, Stevie. I don't know if you want me to, I don't know, whatever, but she's a wonderful girl. She had a stroke. I don't know what the cause of the stroke was, but a few years ago, and she lost the control of her right arm after the stroke. And she was a tattooer, and she used her right arm to tattoo. And after the stroke, she, obviously had to go through some major life evaluation. She had to go through. I mean, I could only imagine. She's a young girl. This is a rough time, and she is very driven and very determined and very talented. And she taught herself to tattoo with her other hand, and now tattoos with her left hand and only has one hand. And most tattooing to me, it takes two hands. You got to stretch, you got to move, you got to wipe, you got to do all these things. But she has developed a method to tattoo with just one hand and using her left hand. And it is nothing short of incredible. And, when a lot of people hear about this story, hear about this girl, they just immediately assume that she's just still tattooing because she has to. And, it's probably, you're probably going to get a tattooer from her because you like her or because she's cool or because she's nice or because you want, whatever. But that's not the case. Her tattoos are nice. She does good, solid, clean tattoos. And it was remarkable. and I was blown away. I didn't really know what to expect. And I'd been told that she was, awesome and that she could do cool tats. But I was kind of prejudging her on a scale that I had in my mind, that she was going to obviously not be doing as good a tats as the other people. And I was wrong. And it was great to meet her and great to tattoo alongside of her. And just to watch her tattoo is insane. But it's a very inspiring story. Man, got a little emotional. But she's awesome, man. It was just such a cool thing to see. And there's a lot of things when you see people overcome, adversities in life and strive and succeed, it just, it just lets you know that like the human spirit is powerful. The human will is strong. And you hear people say it all the time, what you set your mind to, you can do it. And Stevie has overcome, amazing adversities. And it's really cool. And she's got a great attitude and she just rolls with it. I would recommend you check her out. Stevie Randlin. And she will hopefully be back at Party at the Pin next year because what a great tattoo event. I'm not going to get too much into that, but y'all can check it out. Party at the Pin. We had a motorcycle and tattoo show inside the old Idaho State Penitentiary put on by my buddy Luke Morris from Chop Merch. All right, Andrew, you got more than you bargained for in that question. And next question is Jimmy B. Jimmy B says, "Hey, Oliver, love your podcast. I recently found out about it and I binge and listen to it for hours. Can't get enough." Well, that's good news because we got more coming for you. My question is, since getting tattooed, I've gotten many types of advices of ways to take care of a fresh tattoo. What is your recommended method to heal a tattoo? Well, I will say this. Getting tattooed and healing your tattoos is slightly different for every different person. And one of the things I noticed over the years is a lot of people, their first few tattoos didn't heal as well. And you can visibly see the quality of the tattoo is disrupted by a bad healing. But the more you get tattooed, the more you learn how your body heals and the more you learn how to heal a tattoo. There's a lot of different ways to do it. And a lot of people get told one way and another way and this way and that way. What really happens is you find out what the best way for you is. My current recommended method is when you get done with the tattoo, put a bandage on it. We have these like soaker pad bandages that kind of like look like a little diaper. Then they have like they're plastic with a filling inside that soaks up, and you put that cover on there. It's like they call it the meat pad, they call it the soaker pad, they call it the, I think they call it the dry lock bandage is like what the actual term on the ordering invoice is. But I put that on the tattoo and then wrap it with saran wrap or tape and seal it to the tattoo and leave that on overnight. That is steadfast, no variations. I recommend that no matter what. Always leave that bandage on for at least 6 to 8 hours. And most people get tattooed in the afternoon, so that means just leave it until the morning. That gives a tattoo a chance to completely bleed, finish bleeding before the top layer of the skin dries. If you don't bandage it or don't bandage it long enough, then your tattoo's still seeping, still exuding lymph, still exuding excess ink, and still exuding blood. And then the top layer dries, and all that material that's in there is what becomes a scab. So if you can let it bleed all the way out before it dries, there's less material in there to become a scab. So leave it wrapped overnight. And then I recommend putting on the second skin bandage, Tegaderm, Sanoderm. There's many different brands. And that's a clear sticker that goes over the top of the tattoo. You can even Google second skin bandage and how to apply it. You can watch a YouTube video on how to use it. I'm not going to go through that, but that you can leave on for 4 to 6 days and then your tattoo is completely healed. Now, the only reason not to use that is if you have an allergic reaction to an adhesive. And a very small amount of people, when they get medical tape put on them, it'll turn red and get irritated from the tape because of the adhesive or from the second skin bandage. They do have really good brands of second skin bandage now. Lucky's Tattoo Supply makes one that's like completely hypoallergenic, and I've yet to see anybody have a reaction from that brand. Some of the other brands I've seen people have bad reactions to, and then they say, oh, I don't want to use it. I have a reaction to it. But most of the people that I've heard have a bad experience with the second skin bandage are the people that put it on directly after the tattoo application. Then your tattoo is still bleeding, still exuding lymph, still exuding excess ink. And so that sticker over the top then fills with a bubble of goo, blood, lymph, ink, big brown, black liquid bubble underside that. And that is not good. That's why I recommend leave the bandage on overnight, let it completely stop bleeding, then wash it, get it real clean, let it dry completely. Apply the second skin bandage to a completely dry area. It will stick, it will stay on for days, and your tattoo will heal no problem. In the very rare case, you might get a little bit of a reaction to the adhesive, but I find that to be a very small amount of people. When used correctly, hardly anybody has that problem. There are a few people that have like a latex allergy, and just by getting tattooed with latex gloves, they get a little bit of reaction. But like I said, that's a very small fraction of people. So try it out. But number one, just care for your tattoo. The more you care for it, the better it's going to heal. If you just get tattooed and just leave it alone and let it dry and get crusty and don't wash it, get it dirty, get dog hair in it, whatever, it could turn pretty ugly pretty quick. So just keep it clean is what I say. There, over in the 90s, it was like, oh, put bacitracin on it. Oh, put Neosporin on it. Oh, put all this goo on it. And people were I remember in the 90s, it was like, this common knowledge. You tell people, oh, it's going to take 2 or 3 weeks to heal. That was just and that's what it was, because we were putting, a lot of petroleum products on it to keep it wet and blah, blah, blah. And it'll just take longer to heal. But nowadays, you put this Tegaderm or Sanoderm or second skin bandage on there. I mean, your tattoo can be literally almost 100% completely healed in 5, 6, 7 days. So that's my recommendation on how to heal a tattoo. But if you go to a quality tattoo artist and you see their tattoos that are good and their tattoos healed good and they know how to do it, then I would also entertain listening to their recommendations. There is a lot of old school tattooers that are against the second skin bandage just because it's some newfangled bullshit. But it is, I've been using it on my customers for quite a few years now. I actually buy it in large quantities and I give a piece to everybody I tattoo. I show them, I explain to them how to use it. I recommend it. And I just give it to everybody I tattoo because I think it's, I want their tattoo to heal better. But even if you have to buy it, you can buy it inexpensively. If you're going to get a lot of tattoos, I recommend getting a roll of the second skin. Because if you go to Walgreens, you're going to get these tiny little squares. You have to put like a bunch of squares on to cover a big tattoo. I don't know. Hopefully that information helps somebody out. This episode, we're going to be talking about tattooing. We're going to be talking about Ink Master, and we're going to be talking about getting to wear your own clothes and how important that could be on a reality TV show. Dave Kruseman coming up. Don't forget, like, subscribe, share, comment, do all the things. Send me all your questions to whatintheduckpodcast@gmail.com, and I'll be happy to answer them. All right, see you guys soon. What in the Duck podcast is proud to be sponsored by Anchor Screen Printing. Anchor Screen Printing has been printing t-shirts and merch products since 1999. Anchor is the place for quality, small-run items. At Anchor, every print is hand-done by people who care about art. No mass-produced, machine-operated printing done here. You can email Anchor at anchorcustoms@gmail.com to talk about getting something printed for your company, brand, or shop. Anchor Screen Printing also has its own online merch store that sells Elm Street Tattoo, Cheap Thrills, Heart in Hand, Party First Safety Maybe merch, and much more. You can check it all out now at anchorscreenprinting.com. All orders at anchorscreenprinting.com over $35 have quick and free shipping in the continental U.S. So go to anchorscreenprinting.com today and buy some cool shit. Or you can click the link provided in this podcast to shop now. You hear those clicks?
I hear the click.
The clicks mean we're rolling. That's it. Welcome to What in the Duck podcast. I'm your host, as always, Oliver Peck. And today, my guest, very special guest, Mr. Dave Cruise Control Kruseman.
Super stoked to be here.
And we are here in Boise, Idaho. We are at an undisclosed secret hotel room location. And we have a lot to talk about, but we're just going to start off real fast with the reason that we're not at Mio Tia's Mexican restaurant where I usually record the podcast.
Yeah.
Today we are in this undisclosed location in Boise, Idaho, and it's because we were here for Party at the Pen. So those of you listen to this, Party at the Pen is over, and you missed it, unless you were there. And if you were there, it was great. So we were here for Party at the Pen, motorcycle show inside the old Idaho State Penitentiary, which has been closed since the early 70s, but they have events there. My buddy Luke puts on an awesome chopper show. And this year we had a really good group of tattooers together, and we tattooed in the maximum security wing of the old Idaho State Penitentiary, tattooed on death row, right in the cells. And Dave Kruseman is one of the tattooers that came along for this deal, and we're knocking out, as they say, two birds with one stone.
That's right.
So we're here we did the tattooing at the penitentiary, and we're doing a podcast. And man, how fucking cool. Just to let you know, it's okay to curse on the show. How fucking cool was that show?
Dude, first off, I would just like to say thank you for even inviting me, because I had, hands down, in the almost 30 years of tattooing, the funnest time of my whole life. It was hot as balls in there. I wanted to drop a hard charge several times, but didn't. But it was amazing, man. I would love to do it again. I think that there should be more shows like that. It was really, really cool.
I feel like if you're going to tat in the prison, you expect to sweat a little bit.
Yeah, totally. And I've always wanted to say that I've tattooed in prison. So now when I sit down with my clients on a regular basis, I can tell them that I used to tattoo in prison, and it won't be a lie.
There you go. Man, it's really cool. I mean, this facility was built, 100 years ago. It was a very amazing structure of all stone that's quarried right there up the mountain. But it's, as far as it's a rugged life prison. Like the prison cells with honey bucket procedures, no running toilets in the cells, just shitting and pissing in buckets, and just, old prison. It was shut down in the early 70s because they were already planning on moving.
Yeah.
And they had a new prison being built 6 months before the prison was finished being built, and they moved the inmates out of this prison. The prisoners just literally couldn't take it anymore because it was hot and there's shit buckets everywhere. And they said, fuck this place. And they had a riot, and they burned most of the place to the ground. You saw all the
and you could still see the fire damage.
Yeah. And it shut down 6 months earlier than it was planned to. The prison's got a long history of cool historical landmark stuff. So there's there's tours there. It's open. There's a gift shop. You know,
Yeah.
it's like the whole tourist thing, just like Alcatraz or whatever. And they had events there.
Yeah,
And
that's cool.
This is the 3rd year party at the Pen, and we ended up with 16 tattooers total.
Yeah.
We did have a couple of buddy of ours.
Some on top of their game more than others, we'll say.
I'm going to adjust Kruseman's mic just a little bit. Yeah, raise it up a little and then tighten it back up. Check.
Checky.
Sounds good. All right. Mic adjustment's done. Yeah. This was the 3rd year party at the Pen. We had 16 tattooers there this year. They've had tattooing there before, but it was just a few tattooers.
Yeah.
But this year was like we kind of promoted it as a tattooing event. Really cool. Can't wait to do it again. Glad you came to be a part of it. So everybody out there, keep an ear out for.
I mean, to be honest with you, I could potentially see that being one of the best tattoo conventions in the whole United States just because of the location.
More
It's
fans.
so cool. Yeah, more fans.
There is no AC in these buildings.
No, possibly some misters.
A mister.
Yeah.
Well, cool, man. I mean, if there's anything else we can say about Party at the Pen before we get the show on the road, man, it was just a lot of people
Yeah.
came to get tattooed.
Yeah.
And most of the people are getting small little souvenir PATP tats, Party at the Pen tats.
I got
but
mine.
Also, a lot of people got serious tats.
Yeah, totally.
And there was no shortage of people getting in line to get tattooed. So it's really cool. Y'all can check it out online to see all the list of artists that are there and keep an eye out for who's coming next year. And hopefully you'll join us again.
I 100% absolutely will.
So some of you out there may or may not know that Dave Kruseman here was a contestant on the hit TV series Ink Master.
I was.
With celebrity host Dave Navarro.
Yeah.
And tattooing judges Chris Nunez and myself.
Yeah.
It was when I say hit show, I mean, we're talking about a hit, baby. This was a hit show. Yeah. And when I started this podcast, you were one of the first people I talked to about coming on and being a guest.
Yeah. And it's been probably 3 years now.
And it's taken a while. I mean, it took me another year and a half to get the podcast rolling.
Yeah.
And then me and you just couldn't link up to get it recorded sooner. But, I've done a handful of episodes so far, and different people, different walks of life. People ask me, what's the show about? I'm like, well, it's about whatever's happening with the person sitting to my right. So It could be about motorcycles. It could be about tattooing. It could be about a movie that just came out. It could be whatever. But I really wanted you to be on here because there's so many Ink Master questions and topics, and there's a lot to unfold about what goes on behind the scenes of Ink Master.
Yeah.
And you being the traditional tattooer that won Ink Master just made me want to have you be the guy that I really first delve into spilling the beans on some Ink Master questions and behind the scenes shit. And all the seasons have their own interesting little ups and downs or whatever. Your season obviously was one of the more interesting of the ones, I think.
Yeah.
Just to spell it out for a few people, Dave Kruseman came on, and first of all, we got to start out with the clothes.
Okay.
Because everybody asked about it.
Yeah.
And you were the first contestant
to refuse.
Well, to make a stipulation at the onset of what you were going to wear.
Yeah.
And nobody else thought about that.
Yeah.
Everybody else just showed up and signed the contract and didn't read the fine print and find out that they were going to have to wear whatever production said they were going to wear.
Yeah.
You said, hey, man, I'll be on here, but you're not making me wear a purple hoodie every day or whatever the case is. I don't know. So my question to you is, why did that stick out on your brain to start with? Was it because seeing the show and knowing people on it?
Well, I think first of all, when I really get down to the nitty gritty and I think about it, I really questioned whether I should have done the show at all in the first place. I called a multitude of friends, Chris Longo being one of my very best friends in the whole world. And I told him that I got offered to be on the show. And
he said, don't do it.
No, he didn't. He really pushed the issue and was like, yeah, you should. And I said, my only concern is when I do watch the show, because I was a fan of the show before I ever went on it.
Because it was a hit show.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was a fan of you. I've always been a fan of Jane's Addiction. I knew Chris Nunez from Miami Ink and all that stuff. So I really saw this opportunity to come on the show. My only concern was I didn't want to be portrayed as somebody who I wasn't. And I immediately thought of the tattoo community who I feel like I already had respect by. I didn't want to show up in a purple hoodie. I wanted to show up in the Pendleton that I wear and my Vans and my Dickies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was just important to me.
And you knew it could be an issue.
Yeah, totally.
Well, that was one of the, when I got on the show, there was a lot of ins and outs in deciding whether to be on it or be not. Same as I called people and asked, and I got a lawyer, an entertainment lawyer and he told me like, hey, you need to decide what are your line in the sand that you will or will not do.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I'm going to be myself.
Yeah.
And that's it. And he goes, well, then you need to protect your own anonymity and we'll put that in the contract, blah, blah, blah. And, I just assumed that I would just be myself and I would wear my own clothes or whatever.
Yeah.
But if it wouldn't have been in the contract, I would have been screwed.
Oh, yeah. They could have had you dress like a clown.
Day one of filming or day before filming, the stylist came in and took me in the wardrobe and said, hey, here's what we got for you. And they had some fucking bullshit. They had some like tattered, fake torn, I hate fake tears. Yeah. Like I wear clothes that are worn out, but I wore them out. I don't wear clothes that are fake worn out, like you get at Abercrombie or some shit.
Yeah,
they had like
unacceptable.
They had some fake worn out pearl snaps.
Yeah.
And a crinkled up straw cowboy hat.
Yeah.
And some jeans with some little twirly doos on them. Like, you're from Texas, you're going to be cowboy chic. And I'm like, oh, no way. And like, I'm not wearing that.
Right.
And they had some boots. I'm like,
Yeah.
And they wanted me to wear shoes that weren't red. And it's a whole nother story we've talked about before, but I don't wear shoes that aren't red.
Yeah.
And that's a no-go.
That was one of the most mind-blowing things to me, when every morning when we would wake up before filming, watching all these contestants get dressed, I thought to myself, man, some of you look like idiots. You know what I mean? But I mean, I guess to me, that's selling out. And that's the thing that I didn't want to do. I didn't want to sell out. And to me, being something that you're not, that's selling out. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean going on a TV show or if you're a famous
doing
band.
something for money isn't selling out.
No.
Doing something you don't believe in for money is selling out.
Exactly.
And I'll tell you right now, I'm not above selling out.
Yeah.
But nobody's ever given me enough money to sell out.
Yeah, and it has to be the perfect storm and the perfect opportunity for that to happen.
Like, I mean, there's a price for most things.
Yes.
Like $100 million, I'll wear some Skechers.
For $100 million, I'd probably suck a dick.
But I'm just saying, like $10,000, I'm not wearing no fucking Skechers.
Dude, totally.
But so anyway, I wore my own shit. You came on and you're wearing your own shit. And other contestants noticed.
Yes.
And I was overheard, and you say, I told them I wouldn't come on if I couldn't wear my own shit.
Yeah.
And there was like, and there was like, well, why can't I wear a plaid shirt? And Andrea, the producer's like, well, because Oliver wears a plaid shirt.
Yeah.
Can't have everybody wearing a plaid shirt.
Right. And
she's like, well, why can't everybody else? And multiple times over every season, stuff would come up and people would be like, why can't I wear what I want? And Andrew's just like, if we let everybody wear what they wanted, it'd be 18 people with black t-shirts on.
Yeah.
And I understood.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, it does make sense.
Yeah.
But you have to have, when you watch a show and there's all these characters, you can't just have 16 of the same character. No. You have to have the guy in the Hawaiian shirt.
Yeah.
And if y'all go back and pay attention to every season has hoodie guy. Yeah. Every season has tank top guy. Yeah. Every season has Hawaiian shirt guy. Yeah. Every season has fucking, you know what I mean? So but the fucked up part is sometimes we film in the summer. Yeah. And tank top guy is chilling.
Yeah.
Hoodie guy is hating life.
Yeah. Or the guy with the wool Pendleton on is sweating his balls off.
But then sometimes we film in winter.
Yeah.
And hoodie guy is chilling. Yeah. And tank top guy is hating life.
He's freezing. Yeah.
So Clean Rock One, our buddy Clean, who was here this weekend with us.
Yeah.
When he came back for I think he came back so many times.
Yeah.
Andrea had such a hard on for Clean. He would have come back every season if she could have had it.
Who is a stellar human being, by the way?
Clean?
And I just really kind of felt like I got to know him more this weekend inside of prison.
He's a great guy.
Yeah, he's a super cool guy. I get a good vibe from him.
He's a great guy. But when he came back, I think it was the third time he came back. He goes, I'll come back, but I'm not being tank top guy again. You know what I mean? Because it was just like, he's sick of just wearing wife beaters every day or whatever.
Yeah.
But man, the outfits, and then after a few seasons, they were running out of people to put it. So somebody wore a vest.
Yeah.
There was a guy, every season there's a guy that wearing a vest.
Right.
And we called him me, Chris and Dave called him, whoever that was the blackjack dealer.
Yeah.
Oh, who's going to be?
Matt O'Ba. He was like the hunter or something.
And Servon.
You know? Yeah.
Oh, dude, a lot of people. But it's funny to go back and look at that because people that don't think about it, they think that that's who those people are.
Yeah.
I'm like, you really think that guy just really in real life owns every single color of pastel hoodie?
Right. Yeah.
Craig was, what was Craig's? Craig.
Super bright t-shirts. Pink.
Purple
teal,
hoodie, pink hoodie, yellow hoodie. He's just like, oh God.
Yeah.
And the other thing is even though we're filming a show about tattoos, there were certain things that the network wasn't ready for.
Yeah, I'm
and
sure.
When Craig was first on, he had huge gauged out ears.
Yeah.
They made him take his plugs out and brush his hair down straight over his ears. Because they're
I do remember the hairdo.
And that was not his hairdo.
Yeah.
He had no choice. Those were not his pastel hoodies. He had no choice.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, that's what they would have done different.
Yeah.
If they could go back.
Yeah, you just got to put your foot down. I mean, you're already there. They've already invested in you being there. If you say, hey, it's going to be.
But once you're there, you've already signed a contract. You can't do shit.
Yeah.
You have to do it before you get there.
Yeah.
And most people, when threatened with, well, you're not going to be on here, then they'll do it.
Oh, for sure.
But you have to understand that there's a line of people.
Oh, just waiting.
Well, they line up 30 or 40 tattooers before each season. And then they don't know the final 18 until the last week because they have to build this character.
Yeah.
They have to build this cast.
Right.
And they can't have 6 of the same dude. If there's 6 bald dudes that are all muscular, you can't have 6 bald muscular dudes.
No, it's not going to work.
They have to we'll take this bald muscular guy and this other guy and this guy and this guy. And they try to build a diverse group or whatever.
Yeah.
What was all this stuff runs together in my mind. So what was the number season you were on?
Season 6.
See, that was a great one, wasn't it?
It was.
Who all was on the same season as you?
Oh God, we had Katie McGowan, Matt O'Ba.
Because it was Shops.
Yeah, and then the guy that had the Donkey Kong overalls on, that was in the finale with him, Chris Blinson was his name. Yeah.
Great tattooer, super aggro.
Yeah. Craig Foster was on there. Miami Burgess, which is a old Atlanta dude. Which was crazy. And I don't know if I can legally say this or not, but that dude took suntan lotion, squeezed all the suntan lotion out and filled it with alcohol and would have it in his pocket while he was filming so he could drink on the job.
I mean, that's the cruise ship trick, dude.
Yeah, dude, that's crazy. There was lots of crazy stuff that happened on there. I remember the first night that we went to bed, they put us in these single cots and I thought to myself, man, here I am, been married for 10 years. I got a fucking badass sleep number at my house and I'm stuck in this podunk ass horrible bed. So I remember putting a message into Andrea and being like, dude, I need a mattress topper or I got to go home. So the next day, 18 mattress toppers come. Everybody gets these mattress toppers and people are like, Kruseman, how are you getting all this done? I'm like, you just got to demand it. And then I remember going into the shower the first day thinking to myself, I was the 7th guy that went into the shower. And I know that somebody jerked off in there. And there was no way that I was going to stand.
So you just said, well, I'll be number 8.
No, I said, can you give me some flip flops? So for
Shower
next
shoes.
thing,
Gotta have shower
a
shoes.
case of flip flops came. I realized really fast that they would give us whatever we wanted, you know?
Well, they got to keep you happy to a certain extent.
Totally.
And I would say this whole reality TV production side note of things, I'm probably going to throw some people under the bus, and we're going to talk about shit that maybe they don't want people to know, but the illusion of keeping you happy.
Yes.
But the things that go wrong are seemingly out of their control.
Yeah, for sure.
But nothing is out of their control.
Yeah.
So when things are out of their control and it's something that bums you out, it causes drama and turmoil amongst the cast.
Yeah.
But they can't have something causing drama where you have someone to blame.
Right.
Like if you can blame the assistant or the PA or the producer, then you have like an actual gripe.
Yeah, you have ammo.
And then you could be like, well, and then that's why the prisoners like burned the prison down.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But if it's something that's out of everybody's control and it's just what you have to deal with, then life is life and life's not fair and we'll just get through it together.
Right.
Because the producers are always like, we're going to get through this together. I'm like, bitch, we ain't get through this together. Y'all are fucking us over.
Right. Or if there just happens to be somebody on there that's allergic to cheese and every sandwich shows up with cheese on it, it can just be the restaurant's fault, not the people who are creating the show.
That's the issue.
Yeah.
And I have an unconfirmed rumor / suspicion of a specific incident where it was, you come into the day, you do the skull pick, you meet your canvas, you talk to him, and then you break for rules and lunch.
Yeah.
And then you come back in and you have so much time with your client to design, and then you have to start tattooing.
Yeah.
So there's this very rigid deal, like we're going to break for rules. Then we're going to have 30 minutes for lunch. Then we're going to bring the canvases in. Then we're going to blah, blah, blah. And you know the schedule. And they're like, we're going to eat what you want to eat. You put your food order in. And then it's like, okay, everybody, it's time to eat.
Yeah.
Your food shows up. You got a burger. You said no mustard. It's covered in mustard.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh my God, we are so sorry.
Yeah.
I told them no mustard. I will fix it.
Yeah.
We'll get you a new burger. No problem. So sorry. We love you. We're the best people in the world. We're trying to do everything we can. But the bad news is it's going to take 45 minutes to get you a new burger, and you only have 30 minutes to eat. And then your canvas is going to come in and you're going to have 3 hours to design. So you're going to have to eat into your own personal time of drawing and designing and dealing with your canvas if you want to eat this burger.
Yeah.
And then so you're sitting there while everybody else is eating, and they're happy as a lark running off getting you a new burger. And then the canvas comes in and you meet your canvas. You're like, okay, you have 2 hours to design. Hey, here's your burger.
Yeah.
It's been sitting in the hallway for 30 minutes. It's cold now.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have mustard on it.
And now you only have 20 minutes to design your thing.
And then you're
you
fucked, you're pissed, you're stressed, and then you're sweating, and you're trying to draw all quick, and your customer's arguing with you, and the camera is like, bing! And you're like, all they want is that bead of sweat running down your forehead.
They do. And they're going to zoom in on that like no other.
But it was out of our control.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're so sorry.
Right. Yeah.
So that does, I've seen things like that happen in numerous television productions.
Yeah.
When I do not have any confirmation that any employee of Paramount, Spike, Ink Master, Original Media would ever intentionally put mustard on a burger that wasn't supposed to have mustard.
Yeah.
But it fucking happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that a good disclaimer? I think that's good.
Yeah, I think it worked.
So about you being on the show, you came in and you have your solid style, solid identity. You've been tattooing longer than most of the people that were on there, and you knew enough about other people that have been on the show. You kind of weren't playing the game.
No, I wasn't.
You weren't trying in the challenges. You're like, stack bricks. I don't remember what challenges you did or what the challenges were on your season, but it's just like, I would sit back and it was, hot outside. And Hoodie Boy's got to like stack bricks into a design to make a pixelated image of a fucking bleeding heart or whatever the fuck, right? And I was just like watching him inside in the AC, looking out the window, watching him stack bricks. And I was like, look at Nunez, and like, I'd quit.
Yeah, dude. Totally.
I would just go home.
Yeah,
been tattooing 20 years.
And I tried to a couple times, to be honest with you.
You did. And you weren't doing the challenges. You weren't winning skull picks. You didn't care. A tattoo came in and you're like, I'm just going to do what I want to do.
Yeah.
And you did a tattoo and you did a good tattoo, but it wasn't part of the challenge. And
Right.
you were like on the bottom.
Oh,
and
for sure.
You were a better tattooer. So that snugged you in from not going home.
Right.
But you were still getting beaten the bottom a bunch.
Yeah.
And then somebody got to you.
Yeah.
And said, Bud.
Yeah.
You're about to just get kicked off here for nothing.
Right.
And you're already here.
Yeah.
You already left your wife and family. You're already shacked up in this mattress topper with jerk off shoes in the shower.
Yeah. You might as well just do it.
You might as well give it a try.
Yeah. And I think that happened eventually for me. It clicked. And I thought to myself, okay, well, there's already been 7 people nipped off of here. Now there's only 8 of us left.
You're about to go home, bud.
Yeah. And for what? You know what I mean? Because like you look at the other people that are there and you're like, man, I'm just as good of a tattooer as these people. I might as well just follow the rules and see where it goes.
And I don't remember if it was on air or not, but there was a scene where everybody's like, well, I want to win. I need that fucking money. And you're like, I don't give a fuck about that money.
I didn't need the money. You know, the thing for me was when that episode happened, and I remember correctly, like we were all standing on the stage, and I don't know if Dave Navarro said it or what, but they're like, don't you want to win the $100,000? And I thought to myself, God, I've got hundreds of thousands of dollars already. I don't need this money. I never came there for the money. I came there.
And everybody else was like, their balloon just went.
Yeah, totally. I just remember thinking to myself, the whole reason why I went to go to that show is because me and my daughter would watch Ink Master on Tuesdays. And I remember her
Tattoo Tuesday.
Yeah, I remember her saying like, Dad, you got to go do this. Like, that's going to be so cool, you know? And then I had talked to my wife at the time and she said the same thing. And I really just didn't want to disappoint my family, you know? So I went for it. And then when I got there, it was a complete fucking nightmare for me in some aspects. A lot of it was really cool, but the things that were a nightmare for me was like, there was a challenge that we had to do this illusion tattoo or something, and everybody had to turn something into somebody, you know, and one guy gets a fucking Buddha on a belly. So all you got to do is line the Buddha's belly button up with the belly. And then I get the fucking crazy fucking chick that's like wants to turn her head into the pinup girl's head or whatever. And it was like physically impossible for me to do that. So I literally fucking took a Todd Noble book that I had and took one of his traditional lady heads. And I was like, hey, are you getting this on the back of your neck? And I'm going home. And I remember telling you guys, I don't know if Richard Stell was there or somebody was there and they were like, oh, what's going on over here, Kruseman? And I looked up and I said, I'm just doing my last tattoo before they kick me out and send me home, because I was convinced that I was going home. And at that point in time, I didn't give a fuck because I was so over it. I was missing my kids. I was a stoner at the time. I fucking hadn't been stoned in weeks and I wanted a joint so bad. There was just so many things that were going through my mind where I was like, dude, I don't want to fucking be here. And lucky for me, either you or Chris Nunez, you know, and I think that people were pushing for me to go home. We're like, dude, we're not going to send a good tattooer home, because I think people realized that I made the right decision. I mean, I would have ruined that lady, you know, and that was the thing too, is I felt like I had to keep my morals intact. I didn't want to do some fucked up tattoo on somebody forever. I mean, I've been doing this damn near 30 years. And the last thing I want to do is put a bad tattoo on somebody.
Well, for the most part, for challenges, they would come up with some challenge ideas that were going to like cause problems like that.
Yeah.
And I would be like, guys.
Yeah.
And, you know, they would listen to us, but not 100%.
Yeah.
You know, but I mean, so most of it, I think, went pretty well. And I think that the people just jump back on the idea for the money is like the people that went there, like only for the money, they never had a chance.
Yeah.
You know, the people that, and my other big, I guess, gripe or thing that just blew my mind is when people would say every season, they would say things like, oh, I'm here to learn.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is not where to learn.
It's not the place to learn. Yeah.
This is not the place to come to try new shit.
Yeah.
And this is not the place to come to try to learn and expand. This is the place to come that once you've honed it in.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of new tattooers were on the early seasons of the show.
Yeah.
And me and Chris were just like, guys, you got to like have some sort of like minimal bar of experience.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, and like let's just say just for just a shits and giggles, just throw it out there. Just make sure they've been professionally tattooing in a tattoo shop for 5 years.
Yeah.
Because there are some people that made it on that show that didn't tattoo professionally in a tattoo shop.
Right.
But we got some people talking in the hallway. That's fine. We're at a hotel.
Yeah, and I used to, and on that same topic that you're talking about, I always wondered that about this show, because I thought to myself, Jesus Christ, there's so many fucking amazing tattooers in the United States. Why don't you get Mike Rubendahl, fucking Ed Hardy, Henning, all these amazing tattooers that are out there, Tim Hendricks, and these are the people that compete. But I feel like what they do is they take 4 or 5 people that are potentially good tattooers and are okay. Well, and then there's a bunch that nobody's ever heard of, you know?
Well, they get as many good tattooers as they can get.
Right.
You know, the amount of people that apply, or the amount of people they reach out to versus, you know, how many people they can get to actually commit, pass the physical, pass a background check, you know, check all these boxes.
Right.
A lot of people didn't pass the psych.
Oh, that's a scary thing too.
You know what I mean? Yeah. But because you're living in that room, you can't have people that are going to melt down.
Right.
You know? Yeah. There's a lot of ins and outs, and it's hard. And Scott Sylvia's not going to go on there.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
you got to give him $100,000 right up front.
You know what I mean? Like Mike Rubendahl's not going to go on there.
Right.
You know, people that are really, really, that already booked up.
Yeah.
For years aren't going to do it.
Yeah, they don't need it.
And the people that are eager to do it are the younger people.
Yeah.
In the later seasons, we actually ended up with some younger tattooers that had only been tattooing 3 or 4 years that were really good.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's, in my day of learning to tattoo, 5 years wasn't that long.
No.
Today, 5-year tattooers are fucking badass.
Well, because they have the opportunity and the tools set in front of them to where they get 20 years of experience in 2 years because of the internet, because of an iPad and all this stuff. You know, when we came up, it was like, I remember blowing up designs out of the Spalding catalog, holding them up in the window because we didn't even have a light tab, tracing them. You know what I mean? I still don't use an iPad to this day, and I'm almost 30 years in.
I've been on a bunch of rants about the iPad. We don't need to do that again.
Yeah.
But I don't use it for tattooing.
Yeah.
I do see it does have a place
100%
for walk-in tattooers doing certain things. But I believe personally, if you are creating your own art, you're better off doing it on paper.
That's right. Yeah. But it is an amazing tool, and you are right. And as a shop owner, I do see the benefit to all of these people that are working with me that have it, because
if I was doing small little walk-in Pinterest things that you could just like, people come with their phone, they just push a button and then it prints out on the printer, and then you just make the stencil and you boom real quick.
Yeah.
10 minutes, they're out the door.
And if we're being truthful, I'm a little tech-tarded, so I don't know how to use one. You know what I mean? So like, there's a little bit of a thing where I'm like a little afraid of it. You know, I mean, it took me so long to figure out how to use my iPhone. My kids help me with it all the time. I still don't really know what I'm doing, you know?
I bought an iPad. I got the pencil.
Yeah.
I went to the shop because I had messed with Ian Jones's, and just, you know, he had the app that you could make a mandala, right? Just draw one line and it draws 20 lines.
Yeah.
And I was like, so everybody said, you got to get an iPad. So I bought an iPad. I got the pencil. And then I was like, "Hey, show me what to do." And they loaded it up, and I drew like 3 lines. And I said, "This sucks." I never tried it again.
That's pretty much what I did.
I mean, I was just like, nah. I just, I knew that much that I didn't like it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was just like, the way it feels, and it doesn't, like, when you have a pen and touches the paper, the pen does exactly what it does on the paper.
Yeah.
When you use the iPad and that magic pencil on a screen, it kind of magically follows something.
Yeah.
But it's not exact.
Right.
You know, and I was like, nah.
Well, and for me with the iPad, when a lot of, like, we're just going to talk about traditional tattoos because that's what I'm a fan of. When you see somebody do, and not everybody, some people can pull it off, but there's a lot of people that do traditional tattoos on iPads, and it looks like an iPad tat to me.
Yeah.
They're cutting and pasting the same leaf. To me, when you do, we're going to use a rose, for instance, I like the flaws in it. Like, it's a piece of organic folk art. when you do it on an iPad, it looks like a sticker from a company, you know?
I don't even really like the stickers that were made on the iPad.
Right.
They don't look hand drawn.
Yeah.
Because they're not hand drawn.
Right.
Get off the iPad. I've literally ranted, on technology so many times. I am more of an old school person, whatever.
Yeah.
Ink Master topic, you were on the show, and a lot of people, when you won, a lot of naysayers, like, no matter who wins,
Yep. People are going to
somebody go back in the season and find the flaw that they did and say, how does this guy win? He sucks.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I can explain it to you.
Yeah.
But for your example, you did probably one of the worst portraits.
Hands down. Hands down. The worst tattoo I've ever done in my life.
One of the worst portraits.
On top of the fact that, like, I'm pretty sure I had PTSD for like 3 years after that, because I would get like emails of people wanting to get portrait tattoos.
Was everywhere, dude.
So bad.
I mean, people sent it to me. Hundreds of people sent it to me. I'm like, this is your fucking boy. You know what I mean? And it was it was everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I will say this. You tattooed. It was a terrible portrait.
Yeah.
But it was tattooed well.
Yes. Yes.
If in your season, portrait challenge would have been 3 episodes later in the season, you would have went home on that portrait.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
And so that's the tricky thing about Ink Masters. You could take the same 18 people.
Yep.
And put them in the same challenges, but put them in different orders, and a different person will win.
Right.
Because, if whatever you're good at is, let's reverse it. If whatever you're terrible at is in the first 1, 2, 3, 4 episodes,
you're good.
You only have to be better than one other person out of 18.
Right.
But then you make it to, you get down to episode 12.
Yeah.
Episode 13.
Yeah.
It's only 5 people left.
Yeah.
And most of them have made it this far. And if all 4 of them can do a half-assed decent portrait, you're fucked.
Yeah.
But your portrait wasn't the only bad portrait done that day.
No, me and Duffy did some rough ones. But I got to say, if I was the judge personally, like, I thought hers was a little nicer than mine. But I also understand the fact that I don't even remember what happened that day. It was something about like the mat. They were equally as bad, I guess you guys thought. And you guys were like, all right, well, the dude who taught her should get the place.
Yeah, I don't remember what was said.
Yeah.
But I do remember your portrait was terrible.
It was awful.
And then I do remember you won.
Yeah.
And I remember people going, how the fuck did the guy that did this portrait win?
Yeah.
And I was like, it's the nature of the game.
Right.
A lot of people, the saddest thing about Ink Master that I witness is somebody comes on the show that does have a specialty and is really good at something.
Yeah.
But then they don't ever get to do that.
Right.
You know what I mean? They never get to do that.
They never even get the opportunity.
Yeah. They go home, but if their specialty would have been this day instead of next day, they might have done a better tattoo and somebody else would have went home and it could have played out differently. And that happened quite a bit.
Yeah.
Like people would come on and like, oh man, this guy does this. This guy does great.
Yeah.
And then, okay, today's challenge is traditional pinup. And they do the worst tattoo in the world and they go home.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like pinup girl, pinup day.
Well, and going back to that thing where you said like some people don't ever get to do what they're good at. And I think that was my saving grace, is because when me, Matt O'Ball, and Chris Blinson were all in the finale, I got to do a traditional tattoo. So my final tattoo was something that I was very comfortable with,
Yeah.
And in my professional opinion, when you put a hand-drawn tattoo up next to something that's just been taken off of the internet, I mean, something with bold lines that's going to last for 50 and 60 years in the skin is going to look way better than something with a solid red background.
Yeah.
So.
Well, one thing I've, heard a lot of people tell me after your tattoo, right when that finale was, your back piece came out and it was impressive.
Yeah.
And a lot of people were like, man, I never really liked traditional until I saw that.
Yeah.
And I was like, that turned a lot of people into understanding like, oh, I get it.
Yeah.
It's big and I can see what it is.
Yeah.
Most people that have a back piece that's not traditional, you don't know what it is from a distance.
Yeah. You got to get up on it.
It's just so much stuff going on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think, a lot of people that I think do great tattoos, like you can't tell what they are from far away.
Yeah.
Now, not that that's the only thing that matters.
No.
But it is impressive when you see a large tattoo that's like big as life. You can see it from across the room and it's just crystal clear.
Yeah.
I think especially on the show, when you're looking on TV, you see the 3 back pieces pop up.
Yeah.
And one of them, you're like, what is it? And then they zoom in and show you all the details. And like, oh, okay, I see it now. And then yours is like, bam. And everybody's like, whoa.
Yeah.
It really clicked. And I think that was a turning point when a lot of people that watch the show aren't tattoo educated. They're learning about tattoos by watching the show. And that really turned their head on just seeing that. And I was in a lot more traditional tattoos got done on the show after your season.
I think one of the coolest things is what I saw, and this probably happened for a solid 3 years after that show, is I saw so many of my tattoo heroes. All of a sudden, everybody's doing clipper ship back pieces. And it just made me smile every time because I was like, man, I did something for my community. And that, for me, was so much more of a win than the lousy check. You know what I mean?
I mean, the check's good.
Yeah, yeah.
But it can't be the reason.
No.
You know what I mean? It can't be, because the reality TV formula is, it's kind of a pretty good scam.
Yeah.
Because you got a TV show with actors on it.
Yeah.
Every actor gets paid a shitload of money.
Right.
Or, which makes your budget for your show millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Or you get a TV show where you get 18 people to come on for free.
Yeah.
And then you just give one of them
$100,000.
100,000.
Yeah. Give one a little chunk in the end.
Instead of giving all of them $1 million each or whatever.
Right.
You couldn't afford to do it.
No.
But the reality TV formula, you watch that's why reality TV blew up so big, because it was such a cheaper budget for a network to invest in.
Yeah.
And dude, it just went Top Chef.
Yeah.
Ink Master.
Yeah.
And then there's probably something else between Top Chef and Ink Master. Like, I don't know what craft.
Well, it all started with Puck on MTV.
What's that? Reality?
Yeah, that was the first reality TV show.
Well, I'm just saying, like the reality competition of a job.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And so then it just went to every network just went down the row of like, ooh, we're gonna get knife makers.
Yeah.
And have a knife maker master.
Right.
And then pretty much every job.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
Mechanics and motorcycle builders, and I'm cake makers, Lego builders, everything you can think of.
Drag shows, all of
everything you can think of. They're like, oh, well, let's just get a bunch of cake makers and have them all make cake.
Yeah.
When I was first talking about getting on the show, I think I probably told this story before, but when I was first getting on the show, they're like, well, it's like, I was like, what is it like? And they're like, well, it's like Top Chef.
Yeah.
I was like, well, I've never seen Top Chef. Like, well, you should watch an episode of Top Chef, and that way you'll get an idea.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, I don't have television.
Right.
So my partner, Dean Williams, I'm like, hey, Dean, you got the thing where you can like record a show.
Yeah.
He goes, yeah. It's like TiVo. And I was like, can you get an episode of Top Chef on your TV?
Yeah.
He goes, what do you mean? I'm like, can I come over to your house and watch an episode of Top Chef? He's like, yeah, of course.
Yeah. And this is before
I'm asking
you ever committed.
I'm asking stupid questions. Because I don't know. And he's like, yeah, come over. So I went over and we watched maybe we watched 2, maybe I just watched 1. But I watched the show and I was like, oh man, this show's terrible.
Yeah.
I'm like, this show doesn't make any sense.
Right.
First of all, I didn't get it because they made food. And then the guy that was in charge, he tasted it and said, ooh, this tastes terrible. I'm like, I don't know if it tastes terrible.
Yeah.
You might like guacamole and I hate guacamole. I don't know if it's good or not.
Yeah.
How do I know if it's good?
Yeah.
You know, it didn't make any sense to me. I was like, this show's terrible. This show will never last. This show's dumb.
Yeah.
And then Dean's like, this show's on like season 20.
Yeah.
And I'm like, shows what I know.
Yeah.
Because I was like, watch that show and I decided this is dumb. It's never going to work. I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
And then he's like, well, it's on season 20 or season 18 or something, whatever it was on. And I was like, well, I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Obviously
Maybe
it's doing good.
Maybe it'll be great.
Right.
So then that was kind of my roller coaster of I'm not doing it. Okay, I might do it.
Yeah.
And turned out we filmed the first season and I was like, this is terrible.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to watch it. There's like terrible tattoos, like
Yeah.
bad tattoos getting done. And while we're filming, I'm mad. This sucks. I can't believe you do this. I'm throwing a fit.
Yeah.
Thinking the show's terrible.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that was the gold.
Right.
That was the best part of the show.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, I told Audra, I told Andrew, I was like, man, if I was in charge of the show, we'd have all these great tattooers.
Yeah.
And I thought it would be amazing.
Yeah.
And then then we finish filming. And then there's months go by. And then it finally comes on TV.
Yeah.
And I watch it. And I'm like, oh.
I get it.
If I was in charge of the show, it would be terrible.
Yeah.
Because it would have been like, oh, Jim, you did a great tattoo. Good job.
Yeah.
Oh, Mark, you did a great tattoo. Good job.
Yeah.
Oh, Jamie, you did a great tattoo. Good job. It'd be boring as fuck.
Yeah. If everybody's awesome.
Yeah,
there's
you got to
no-
have
nothing
James
exciting.
Vaughn fucking doing 2 left feet.
Yeah.
And
Totally.
You got to have like people, you got to have girls fucking freaking out and misspelling Corinthians and
Yeah.
crying.
Yeah. Passing out, getting pissed, walking out.
Oh, I thought something was going wrong. I heard something in my ear. That's just hotel noise.
Yeah.
Man, what a wild ride. So what was the turning point in the show when you decided, okay, I'm going to give it a whirl?
All right.
And then
so
you won,
you
won a challenge.
yeah.
And got a skull pick.
If we're being truthful, one of the producers reached out to my wife at the time and was like, hey, I don't know what's going on with your husband, but he is not following the rules. You know what I mean? Like,
And she's like, surprise, surprise.
yeah, totally. So she called me up and she said, hey, listen, you need to follow the rules or they're going to kick you out of there. And you're going to bum our kids out. You know what it was? Is that she told me this.
Your daughter's counting on you.
And I told her, I mean, I remember calling her crying one night being like, I don't want to fucking be here. This is horrible. This is ruining me. And she was like, listen, you cannot show either one of our kids that quitting is an option. And she's always been really good about like raising our kids properly, you know? And that's what it was for me, is it sunk in like, man, I'm going to show Logan and Savannah right now that I just fucking quit and gave up. Fuck that. I don't want to do that. I'm just going to do it. You know what I mean? And what's the worst case scenario? I go home anyways.
Yeah. But you go home trying.
Yeah, totally.
And you, yeah.
Yeah. So I put my best foot forward and I actually tried. And the turning point was I had done like a fucked up stained glass tattoo or something. And that St. Mark guy crushed it. And I remember you guys made us do like a re-challenge. And I thought to myself, well, I'm just going to do it like St. Mark did. Because it's not like I don't have the tools to do it. I've been tattooing almost 30 years.
You just didn't want to do it.
No, I just didn't want to do it. I wanted to do it my way. Because my whole MO was, I'm fucking this donkey. Everybody else is just holding the tail. And that's just not the way it works, you know? So once I decided that I was going to put my best foot forward, I did start seeing like, holy shit, I actually have a fucking chance to win this. Once I knew I was going into the finale with that back piece, I really knew that I had a chance because I had already done 5 or 10 back pieces over my career. Yeah. So it was cool.
But I remember you like tried you gave an effort in a flash challenge.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, fuck it.
Yeah.
You like won a flash challenge.
Yeah. We had to hold a fucking piece of plywood or sheetrock over a fucking burning thing of fire and create a design out of it, dude. It was insane. And then I was like,
there's so many crazy challenges.
Dude, it was crazy. Yeah, we had to tape everything off and then hold the plywood over the fire, and the soot from the fire is what created the ink. And I was just like, holy fuck, dude, we had to do a tattoo tomorrow. I'm going to die, man, because I hadn't worked out in years. And now all of a sudden my hands are sore because I'm holding a 30-foot fucking piece of plywood.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Oh my God.
But the challenge that I ended up winning was they had us take nail guns and like shoot billions of nails on this piece of wood and create a design.
Stipple.
And the thing that a lot of people don't understand is I was like, fuck, dude, I don't even know what to do. And I looked down at my hand right here, and this is the first time anybody ever knows this, and I have this Tibetan bat right here on my hand.
Yeah.
And I literally fucking started drawing the bat that was on my hand because it was basic and it was easy.
It was right there.
Yeah. And I was so stoked because you and Chris Nunez were like, I thought the Tibetan bat, because tattooers know what that is.
Mhm.
None of the other people on that show knew what that was.
Oh,
You know
man.
what I mean?
Oh my God. Dude, some of the challenges, they had like a ongoing thing on the crew of Ink Master
Yeah.
that if you came up with a challenge, like if you worked at the show
Yeah.
and you came up with a challenge that got used on the show, then you got like a bonus.
Oh, that's cool.
And so everybody was just fucking coming out of the woodwork with every kind of crazy idea. And so they would like, some of them were good.
Yeah.
And then they'd come to me, and Andrew, for a lot of times, Andrew would come to me and was like, okay, what do you think about this idea?
Yeah.
And sometimes I'd be like, oh yeah, and I never even heard of anything like that. That's pretty cool. You know, and they'd
Yeah.
show me an example of it. And then sometimes I'd be like, nah, no.
I mean, if you really think
No.
about it, it is kind of mind blowing how many different ones they
Yeah.
think of.
I mean, sometimes I would say no, and they do it anyway.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, these motherfuckers, and then it'd be really cool. And I'm like, well,
Yeah.
okay, I was wrong.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I would just be like, there's like literally one of the ideas was do a design on a grain of rice.
Oh, God.
Have you seen in the mall when they'll write your name on a grain
dude,
of rice?
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait a minute. First of all, no fucking way.
Yeah.
Second of all, how are you going to show that on television?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You're going to have to get like the biggest magnifying glass known to man.
I was like, you're going to fucking film in a microscope. But there's a lot of crazy ideas.
Oh, yeah.
But they were running out of ideas.
Yeah.
But seemingly they came up with, I mean, the challenge crew. I mean, you probably knew some of the people that worked on challenge. Anytime you're doing a flash challenge, all that team of people.
Yeah.
If it was a chain link fence, they're the people building the chain link fence or
Yeah.
brick walls or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, those guys were the hardest working people on the show
Oh,
for
yeah.
sure. And those people were like, a lot of them were, all those people in that department were like artists
Yeah.
and like mostly on the craftsman side of
Yeah.
art and doing all the cool shit.
Yeah.
And they were hardworking and they came up with a lot of cool things. But some of the shit, they didn't care if it was like strenuous work on
Yeah.
the artist, on the tattooers.
Yeah.
And I was like, you're going to have these fucking tatters, these lazy fucking out of shape fucking hunchback sitting in a fucking AC chair all day tatters, fucking crawling around the concrete, doing
Yeah.
all this crazy shit. And then
Yeah.
expect them to come the next day and just fucking tattoo all day
Yeah.
long.
After they just put 20,000 sticky notes in 15 different colors
Yeah.
to create a Mona Lisa.
And you film 6 days a week
Yeah.
and it's long days every single day.
Stressful for sure.
And you're trapped in that fucking house.
Yeah.
And people always ask me, I mean, you were there.
Yeah.
You were behind the lines. So we're going to ask you, like, how is this and first of all, everybody fucking cries.
Yes.
And people are like, would people really cry? And I'm like, oh, you'd cry.
Yeah.
If you were in that house for 9 weeks,
Yes.
like the only people that don't cry, well, I would say probably they still cry, but people that go home in the first 1 or 2 episodes,
Yeah.
they cry because they went home.
Yeah.
If they didn't go home, they'd be crying later just for
Yes.
being there.
Yeah.
Like you said, you miss your family.
Oh yeah.
You
I
don't have
cried
your
multiple
phone.
times.
You don't
for
have your
sure.
phone.
Yeah.
You get like, what do you get? You get an hour a day to talk to your family, or what do you
Yeah, I
get?
think it's like an hour a day, and you wake up in the morning, they put all your phones in Ziploc baggies, and you have nothing except for your own fucking mind to destroy your day.
No music,
No nothing.
and
No,
everybody,
no TV, no
no
fucking
television,
radio.
and no music
Yeah,
because they're filming you,
yeah,
and you can't have music in the background. You got
No.
to dub the music in later.
yeah.
So you're stuck with just those people.
Right, and everybody that you're stuck with is out to get you. You know what I mean? Because they want the money. You know,
Yeah.
so they're going to do anything you can. And one thing that a lot of people don't know too is there was a challenge where Chris Blinston and St. Mark, which in my opinion were the two people that I was really afraid of on there because they were very talented tattoo artists.
Yes.
they were going to have to do some kind of challenge the next day. It was a Sacred Heart that we all designed. And I had realized over the process of filming the show that St. Mark was like a Jack Daniels fan. He drank Jack Daniels. So I asked one of the producers, like, hey, could you get us a couple bottles of Jack Daniels? And can I get a jug of apple juice? And the guy's like, yeah, okay, cool. So I take a bottle of Jack Daniels and I go into the bathroom and I pour the whole thing out and I fill it up with apple juice and I put it over by my bed and I give St. Mark a bottle of apple juice and we all hang out all night and party and we're taking shots of Jack Daniels.
Wait, you give him the Jack Daniels?
Yeah. And I'm just taking shots of apple juice.
So you give him Jack Daniels, you have apple juice.
Yeah. A lot of us were drinking the apple juice. He was drinking
But he didn't know.
No, because we all wanted him to go home. So the next day he wakes up and he is so fucking hungover, dude. And we're like, yeah, dude, this is going to work. You know what I mean? And sure enough, he fucking went home.
Oh my God. Yeah. What in the Duck podcast is proud to be sponsored by Legacy Ink, the finest in tattoo pigments. I have been using this ink exclusively for over 20 years myself. It has been recently rebranded and marketed, but it has been the same recipe for decades. Real, hand-mixed tattoo pigments that heal great and last. People always comment on the yellow that I use and the yellow tattooed on me. My favorite, the Mayan yellow. I have seen countless 20-plus-year-old tattoos with the colors still vivid. Don't fuck around with all these newfangled companies with their watered-down baloney. Get the tried, true, and tested good shit. You can find them on Instagram at Legacy Pigments or email Ashley today to place an order at legacyartsupplies@gmail.com. Tell them Oliver sent you and receive a special discount. Don't just do tattoos. Be a part of a legacy.
So there was a lot of that kind of stuff.
It was a conspiracy.
It was. And I think that there's a whole bunch, like when you get a group of people like that and you put a cash prize that's so big in front of people, they will fucking stab your back every chance they get, you know?
My God. St. Mark he was a character for sure.
Yeah. And he's a cool dude. He's a trip, dude.
He's a great guy. He's a great fucking tattooer. And a lot of people, you know, he's one of the people they ask me about.
Yeah.
You know, was he really that big of an asshole? And I'm like, no,
not at all. Nobody
is as big of anything as they seem on television.
Yeah.
You know, you're not, they upplay it. They upscale it. You know, the drama is really there.
Yeah.
But they just hone in, and very simple explanation is that you have 10 to 12 cameras.
Yeah.
Filming somewhere between 6 and 18 people, depending on what episode, or 3 and 18 people, you know, for 12 hours a day for 3 days.
Yeah. One
episode is 3 days of filming.
Yeah.
Add that up. Yeah. How many hours of footage do they have on tape?
Yeah.
100 hours.
Well,
how long is the show? 42 minutes.
Yeah.
How the fuck do you take 100 hours?
Yeah.
And then show up with this nice polished 42 minutes.
Yeah.
There is a lot that's not there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so they just cherry pick all these perfect little 5 seconds, 10 seconds.
Think about the show that they could have with all of that past footage and create a completely different show with the same people.
Oh, you take the same 700 hours and make a completely different 42 minutes.
That would be super interesting.
Man, there's a movie called Made.
Okay.
It's Jon Favreau movie.
Yeah.
And it's Jon Favreau wrote, directed, and starred.
Yeah.
Him and Vince Vaughn
are
in the movie. And it's a really funny movie.
Yeah.
You know who Jon Favreau is?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So y'all should check this out. But this movie Made, it's really funny. But the story I've heard about the movie is that Jon Favreau wrote the whole screenplay.
Okay.
The whole script. Every character except Vince Vaughn.
Oh,
so in the scene, they walk into a room, everyone has their lines, and Vince Vaughn just ad-libs whatever he thinks is going to happen.
Yeah.
So they do dozens of takes, and Vince Vaughn just says crazy shit.
Yeah, he's winging it.
And it makes the movie.
Yeah.
But then after the movie, Jon Favreau, every movie has 100 hours of leftover footage.
Yeah.
Jon Favreau took all the leftover footage and made a completely separate short film that
No
has
way.
nothing to do with anything that happened in the movie.
That's
and
cool.
it's on the DVD extras.
Yeah.
On the special edition DVD extras, this little extra thing.
Yeah.
And it's like really interesting to see, like, so much shit gets said
Yeah.
that they don't use.
Yeah.
You could just be like, make up a new story and piece it all together.
Oh, yeah, totally.
But you watch that movie and it's like, once you know that about the movie, it blows your mind.
Yeah.
Because you watch Vince Vaughn like just start doing shit.
Yeah.
And there's like interviews with them talking about it. And it's
Right.
just like, there's some really genius scenes in there.
Yeah, that's cool.
You could definitely do that with probably any reality show.
Oh, for sure.
You know?
Yeah, especially if there's hundreds of hours and they're only using 45 minutes of it.
Yeah, you know, everybody is a lunatic for a minute a day.
Right.
So they take that minute and make you out to be a lunatic.
Yeah.
And they took those minutes of St. Mark and made him be an asshole.
Well, and I think that he also was the type of person that like
To be that attitude.
He
to
really
say
enjoyed that. You know what I mean?
But he
enjoyed
said those
being the
things.
outcast. Yeah, for sure.
But it wasn't as, you know, it really happened, but there's a spotlight on the highlights.
Yeah.
Is basically the way to put it.
Yeah.
But being there, like, I would watch the show.
Yeah.
When the show came out, I would watch it. And I realized that I needed to watch it because I'm involved in this thing and everybody I meet wants to talk to me
Yeah.
about this show.
Yeah.
And if I don't watch the show, then I don't really know what the fuck is going on
Yeah.
because I'm not up in the house for one.
Yeah.
So I don't really know all the ins and outs of what's going on in the house. And so if I don't watch the show, people that I meet are like, oh man, what happened with so-and-so? And I'm like, I have no clue.
Yeah.
I didn't watch it. And they're like,
Yeah.
yeah, but you were there. I'm like, I still have no idea.
Yeah.
Because I would watch the show and I would remember the things that happened there.
Yeah.
But the way they put it together would create the dynamic.
Right.
And with only knowing what you know from being there,
Yeah.
I could have put it together a million different ways.
Totally.
I know who won. I know who goes home, but I don't know all the ins and outs.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to watch it because it was like, well, what are they going to say? And I said a million things every episode, and they only use
2 of them. Right.
And you've been there. You're standing on the line. You come up. Dave calls you up. Your tattoo comes on the screen. And then me, Chris, and Dave talk shit about your tat for how long?
Right. Fuck.
How long?
An hour?
5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes?
Yeah.
How long is it on television?
2 seconds.
15 seconds.
Yeah.
10 seconds.
Totally.
You know what I mean? I look at that tattoo and I talk shit about it. I say a million things about it. And then when the show airs, the things come on the screen, I go, actually, it's wonky.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then next, you know what I mean? And
I think one of the craziest things for me, they would do these little outtakes where they would put us on the stage. And I don't even think that you guys were in there when they were doing this, but they would say, okay, we're going to film you guys and we need you guys to be actors for the day. And we're going to read you a list of things and we want you to respond to it. And they would say, okay, Oliver Peck's feet smell really bad. So
And
it's
you
up to
laugh.
us to be like, do something like that. Or, hey,
and they'd use that.
yeah, or you really like what the guy to the left of you is wearing. So you're like, cool. And you have no idea why you're doing all this stuff until you see the show. And they're like, hey, man, that tattoo that St. Mark did is really cool. But then they're going to show me.
Looking like Oliver Peck's feet stink.
Yeah, so it makes me look like I'm like, fuck that guy. I don't like him. When it's like, dude, I don't fucking have nothing against that dude. You know what I mean? So
the
like,
magic of
it
television.
is pretty
dude.
cool. Like when you really get down to the nitty gritty and see how they do it, it's fucking amazing.
Oh, it is very intelligent design.
Yeah, yeah.
And you go into the war room. I don't know
Yeah,
if you ever went in the war room or not,
I don't know what that is.
but it's like
Maybe I did. What
it's
is
where
word?
all the monitors are.
Oh, I did see that a
So
couple
you go
times. Yeah,
like while we're filming,
yeah,
the director,
yeah,
who was a couple different people throughout the tenure, and Andrea and a few other people in the ADs are in there, and there's monitors for every camera. There's
Yeah.
a huge screen for all 12 cameras or whatever. Or sometimes there's a screen that's split into 4,
yeah,
and there's 4 cameras on that. And it's like, if it's critique and everybody's standing on the line, there's like a close up of every person's face.
Right.
And so the director is watching all this and
Yeah.
then listening to what's going on. And then if somebody starts to cry, they're like, zoom in on Holly,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And then they'll like say something. And then in my ear, Andrew will be like, Oliver, say something about Holly's tattoo, you know,
Yeah.
or say something this, or, and then I'd like chime in and like,
Yeah.
because they're like zoomed in, your face is this big on the screen. And as soon as they see the gloss of the water in the eye,
Yeah.
they're
on
like,
it.
they start poking.
Yeah.
And then when that tear pops out of the eyelid, everybody in the room's like, yeah!
We got
We're
tears.
bingo!
We got tears.
Yeah, big. And so it's like so wild. And then there's like a big like dry erase board
Yeah.
with all these writings and everybody. And then there's a picture of each person's face
Yeah.
and all this stuff written about them. Like, who's going to be the bad guy? Who's
Yeah.
going to be this? Who's
Yeah.
going to go after so-and-so? Who's going to fucking, you know, and they're like building this plot.
Yeah, like in a police station on the board where they're trying to find the serial killer.
Dude, they're doing, it looks like that.
Yeah.
And then you go back in the offices and there's just photos of everybody with Post-it notes all over each photo.
Right.
And you're just like, dude, these people are just living this.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
every day, at the end of the day, all those cameras, some person has to watch all that footage
Right.
and just get an idea. Oh, tomorrow we got to make sure we get in on fucking what Pond said to so-and-so.
Yeah.
You know, they got to like.
The Hawaiian shirt guy.
The Hawaiian shirt
The
guy,
Hawaiian
dude.
shirt guy.
I mean, I will say, I think Pond was probably my favorite Hawaiian shirt guy.
Yeah, he's a cool dude.
I mean, he fit the part.
Yeah,
the Hawaiian shirt
for
guy.
sure.
Yeah. So funny, dude. Just the whole.
Yeah, what a wild ride. That was crazy. I am really glad that I did it, but I'm also glad that like that's a thing of my past. I don't try to, you know, you see a lot of these people that are on that show and it's their whole life, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
For years afterwards, they have it on their thing and this and that. And for me, it was like, okay, I had my 5 minutes in the sun and now it's time for me to move on and live my life.
Well, I'm going to tell the people that are listening, the
Yeah.
18 subscribers we have. Just kidding. We got a lot of subscribers. Thank you all for subscribing. And don't forget to like, share,
Yeah.
comment. But anyway, thank you guys. I'm going to tell these people when after your season was over, after you won, offsides, I remember telling you, I said, hey, man, don't be the guy that just is at the convention with the big Ink Master banner.
Yeah, I remember you telling me
Just
that.
be Dave Kruseman.
Yeah.
If people know you, then they know you.
Yeah.
But don't try to convince people
Right.
that they need to know you for some other reason than just you're Dave Kruseman.
Yeah.
You know, don't be the guy that's just like, you know, don't make your Ink Master logo your logo on your
Yeah.
Instagram. Don't try to get on top of the roof with the billboard with the bullhorn yelling, I'm famous, I'm famous, I'm famous.
Yeah.
Just be.
Yeah.
It'll work out better.
Yeah.
You'll be more respected and people will be stoked. The people that do know will be stoked.
Yeah.
The people that don't know will have a chance to learn who you are. And it'll be more genuine.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I remember waking up the next day after I won and I got a text message from Juan Puente.
Yeah.
He was one of my all-time tattoo heroes. And he said something along the lines of, thank you for treating tattooing the way it needs to be treated. I'm proud of you. And I fucking thought to myself, dude, I just got a message from Juan Puente that said I was cool. You know? And it made me feel good.
And you could have been
that
different.
was a huge way, for sure.
There's a lot of other people that won Ink Master that did not deserve that message.
Yeah.
Hence,
for sure.
they didn't get it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
So congratulations.
High five. I'm stoked. Yeah. Those are good memories for sure.
And I think it's just, I think you did yourself a solid. And I think you did the community a solid. And I think that, you know, no matter what you do, there's going to be haters. There's going to be people that love it, but
yeah,
you can just do what you do. It's a tricky road to navigate.
Yeah.
Going into that situation, going into being in the public eye.
Yeah.
And a lot of people that have done it are just like, fuck this. I'm like
Yeah.
ducking down and
Well, a
getting
lot
out
of
of
people
it.
don't understand like the backlash of it all. You know, it's like I mean, fuck, dude, I saw a therapist for 3 years after that show. Not because I needed to see a therapist because I went on that show, but there was a lot of unanswered things about myself that I was like, dude, fuck. You know, when you go from being just a regular guy in your town and you got 1,000 people following you on social media, which was new at the time, and then you wake up 4 months later and you've won the biggest tattoo TV show in the history of the world. And now all of a sudden you've got 100,000 people following you, and there's 500 every month that are like, fucking, you're a piece of shit, dude. You should have never won. Like that shit gets to you. So not having somebody to talk to about it is the wrong answer. So if there's any piece of advice that I could give anybody that's ever going to go on a reality TV show of any kind is like, seek some type of like therapy afterwards, because like everything's going to be okay. It's all going to work out. And none of it means nothing about you. You know what I mean? It's all that person. It's them hating, you know?
Well, what I learned is that pretty much every single contestant on Ink Master is someone's favorite.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So every episode, a lot of people are pissed.
Yes.
Because their favorite person went home.
Yeah, totally.
You know, and it's like maybe give or take the first 2 episodes.
Yeah.
But by episode 2, people have picked their favorite.
Yeah.
And then in episode 3, they go home, they're pissed.
Yeah.
So every week, to 100 and how many 70 something episodes, every single time that episode aired, hate on the internet.
Yeah.
Fuck you. You don't know what you're talking about. You sent the guy home. He should have won. I'm like, it's episode 3. How do you know he should have won? Oh, yeah. I will guarantee the public.
Yeah.
I will guarantee the public this. If you went home episode 1, there's no way you were going to win.
Yeah, you just suck.
You know,
you just suck.
And maybe it's not even that you suck. It's just that you weren't ready to be in that competition.
Totally.
A lot of people came too early.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people that when we sent them home, we gave them heartfelt, emotional speeches like, hey, man, I think you're great.
Yeah.
And I mean it. You have artistic talent. Yeah. You need to go home. You need to get better at tattooing. Don't give up.
Yeah.
You know the right people. Now you've made these connections. And it really is true. You know, these people have made connections.
Yeah.
And now they can do this and they can use that to get better and be a better tattooer. And then we'd give the speech and they'd be cool and we'd hug and they'd cry and like, oh man, I'm so, I'm glad you're here. I think this is going to be a good experience for you, blah, blah, blah. And then they're like, all right, get back in the spotlight. Dave, tell him he doesn't have what it takes. You know what I mean? And it's like, you got to get back to the reality. So we did something that was real.
Yeah.
And then they don't show that.
Yeah.
We have to go back to the reality TV.
Yeah, you guys put
them in the spotlight and say, you don't have what it takes.
Yeah.
Pack your bags.
Yeah.
Pack your machines. You know, all the shit. And it's like, it seems so cold.
Yeah.
You know, but
it's just filming a show.
If you were there in real life, you had this real experience.
Yeah.
And we treated, I would say 99% of the people with the utmost respect.
Absolutely.
And there was a few people that went above and beyond to be an asshole that we were like, who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
But 99% of the artists that came on there, they had my respect just by putting themselves on the line.
Right.
And we would say these things and we would off screen, we would talk and this and that. And they would go home with the good sense.
Yeah.
Like, man, I tried. I met some good people. I did good. I did bad. I fucking, whatever. And they go home.
Yeah.
And then months go by. And then the show starts airing.
Yeah.
And then it's like harsh. All the edit is like, you suck, you're going home. Yeah. And then it's like none of the fucking.
Right.
So now these people are like, man, he's an asshole.
Yeah.
And some people were like, oh, he's really cool. Or Nunez was cool. Nunez comes off a little bit more stern.
Yeah.
So people generally think he's meaner.
Right.
But it's just the demeanor. Yeah. I'm laughing most of the time.
Yeah.
So on camera, I seem whatever, but, and Dave, pretty much every bit of footage they use of Dave is real, like, stoic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Serious.
So everybody's like, you don't really get, the people that were there know.
Yeah.
And most of the people, got a good sense of it. But I think a lot of people kind of, you forget. And then that what was on TV is what you remember. And they're like, oh yeah, they fucking just,
laid into them.
But you got to.
Yeah.
And I would say most of the time, the right person went home.
Yeah, for sure.
There's probably a few that slipped through the cracks, or there's a few discrepancies where me, Chris, and Dave didn't agree.
Yeah.
And it went back and forth and, different things. And you could watch it again because I've watched a few episodes again later on here and there, just see them popping up. And I remember being in a hotel one time and we were on a cruise. It was funny. We went on a cruise, man.
Was it the dude cruise?
We did on a dude cruise. We did a bunch of dude cruises.
I thought that was cool.
But one year we went on a dude cruise with a bunch of dudes on a cruise, and literally on the cruise ship television, which is its own like network or whatever. Because there is like some regular cable channels, but it's like this cruise ship network. They were literally having an Eat Master marathon the entire,
unbeknownst to you guys,
4 days of the cruise. Yeah. So by day 2 of the cruise, if anybody didn't already know that I was on Eat Master, now they did, yeah. Dude. It was fucking insane. But I watched a couple episodes, and there was one, I can't remember which one it was now, or what tattoo it was, or what artist it was, but I was just like, oh man. And the one there was these 2 tats, and one went home, and I was like, I don't know, maybe that other one should have went home.
Yeah.
But it's like years. This is reruns, what I mean? So this is years later.
Yeah.
But it, most of the time, a 99.9% of the time, we just went straight by the facts and looked at the tattoos. And you being there, you saw how in depth we went into the critiques, more in depth than you see on television.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of times it was hard to choose.
Yeah.
And a lot of times me, Chris, and Dave didn't agree because it's like aesthetics are involved, and art is involved, and taste is involved. And you really try to not use somebody's past record of fucking up against them, because every day is a new battle.
Yeah.
I mean, you could lose this challenge, but win this one. So it's kind of just like, and that's what I said when people like, how the fuck did Kruseman win when he did the worst portrait ever? I'm like, well, he made it to the end.
Yeah.
And did this day did the best one.
Right. And imagine if I would have done that bad portrait 3 episodes in, nobody would have remembered that, because here's the thing. Nobody remembered the awful koi fish that Chris Blinson did, or the traditional tattoo that he did, or the trash polka tattoo that he did.
But it wasn't as bad as the other stuff.
Yes.
Other people did worse.
Yeah. But my point is that like, it happened so close to the end that's what everybody remembers is the sloth portrait. You know what I mean? I turned that guy's dad into sloth with a military uniform.
Oh, that was your saving grace.
Yeah.
Is the detail on the uniform was so good.
Yeah.
You just smudged this general region.
I know. The more I think about it nowadays, I wish I would have picked one of the better portraits, but I was so terrified to do the portrait. When you look back at that episode and you see the photo of the person, like the guy really didn't have a face because the quality of the photo was so bad.
Yeah.
And that's why I picked it. I was like, okay, if I just do what I see. Yeah. But yeah, portraits have never been my thing. I'm not interested in them. I think it's a very cool thing that they can be done with a tattoo machine. For me, I'm going to keep soaring with the eagle and slithering with the snake.
Well, I tell people, the other thing I tell people all the time is that the idea of the Ink Master is a myth.
Yes.
There's only a few tattooers ever that can do black and gray as good as Chewy Quintanar.
Yeah.
And Japanese as good as Small Paul.
Yeah.
And traditional as good as Scott Sylvia.
Right.
And you know what I mean? All these things.
Yeah.
So it's just not really the idea in my perspective isn't that we're supposed to find this one guy that can do everything the best.
Yeah.
The idea in my head is that you get all these people and you play all these challenges and see who makes it to the end.
Yeah.
that doesn't mean that whoever made it to the end won every single challenge.
Right.
Because that's never going to happen.
Yeah, it's a game.
That's never going to happen. And I also remind people, current day people out here that are watching the show now for the first time, because there's a whole new audience of people that are watching it on Netflix and watching it on streaming that didn't watch it a decade ago.
Yeah.
And they newly chime in and comment to me and hate me for sending fucking Ricky Ray home.
You still get it.
And I'm just like, I just laugh.
Yeah.
And I say, I type.
Yeah.
I'm like, just to be clear.
Yeah.
You're mad at me for something that happened on a TV game show 10 years ago.
Yeah. That's the best answer.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, you're mad.
Yeah.
You're pissed.
Yeah.
Today in 2024
Yeah.
about something that happened
10 years ago
on a TV game show.
Yeah.
Because it is a TV game show.
Yeah.
But I will say this also, just to clear up any doubts that are out there that the show is rigged.
Yeah.
Or the show is fake, or the show is planned,
Right.
or the winners are pre-chosen.
Yeah.
Because there's a few tattooers that went on there
Yeah.
that are certain
That's the case.
that they got duped.
Yeah.
And that it was in the plan. You know, it's like, it is a game show.
Yeah.
And there's money on the line.
Yeah. So they can't legally do that.
Legally, the producers cannot have any say on who goes home.
Yeah.
And there was times.
They literally have no idea.
Well, it's up to the judges.
Right.
Because we're the judges. Me, Chris, and Dave. It's me, Chris, and Dave. We decide. And legally, the producers weren't even allowed to try to persuade us.
Right.
But there was definitely some times when they were bummed at who we sent home. Yeah. Because it was a good character and they had a good story arc building, and they were, is somebody that was good on camera. Yeah. Somebody that was, and I agreed. Yeah. But they got to go home. Yeah. And so there was times where they were bummed at who we sent home. For sure. And, they'd be like, no, don't send so-and-so home. And we're like, oh, so-and-so's fucking out of here. You know what I mean? Yeah. Oh my God. But there is some people that I wish we could have kept on longer. Yeah. I mean, if we could have kept fucking Rollo that did Acid Cat, if we would have kept him on longer, he could have probably, he probably could have produced, at least 6 or 8 more of the greatest bad tattoos of all time. Yeah. Could have been like a Manganesian chinch dinosaur in the works. Just, if you ever get a spare minute, dude, just remind yourself. And I don't mean to beat a dead horse, man. The guy is a sweetheart. Yeah. But man, it's just so incredible. Yeah. The Acid Cat tattoo. I remember that. Which I dubbed Acid Cat. Yeah. Yeah. I was just like, it is mind-bogglingly incredible. Like people have put it on t-shirts. Oh, for sure. That people, I feel like it needs to make a comeback. We need to make stickers or something. Right. I don't know who officially owns the rights to that image. I don't know if he didn't copy Paramount. He should have. Well, maybe they probably do. Yeah. He should have copywritten it. Oh, for sure. He definitely 100% created that without. You can't say he stole that likeness from anywhere else. Yeah. For those of you out there who are not familiar, just Google Acid Cat. Ink Master Acid Cat. Yeah. It's fucking incredible. And if you just happen to want to take some acid before you do that, it might even make it 10 times more interesting. I want to know if there's anybody else that ever got a recreation of that tat. I mean, I honestly like the Sucky Panther. I don't even think I could do it. Right. I don't know the technique. That should be a future challenge in that show. It's like you have to redo the Acid Cat. I had so many great ideas of what to do in the future. Speaking of future Ink Master, there was a time when you were, I guess, at least questioned or propositioned or talked to about going back. Yeah. What was that whole play out?
So
I
Andrea,
remember we talked about it a little bit.
Andrea had reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to compete again, and that the prize was going to be $600,000.
Why 6? Why not 5? Why not $1 million? Why not 750? What's 6?
I don't even know. And I could be, and to be honest with you, I could be off on the number, but I know it was a lot more than what original was. And I sat there and I thought
it was 150.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
I sat there and thought to myself, immediately thought of DJ Tamby, and I thought to myself, fuck no, that guy's the best tattooer that's ever been on the show. Like, I'm not gonna go look like a jerk. And here's the thing: if you're fucking Mike Tyson, you're not gonna fucking win the fucking golden belt and then go try to lose it. So I just wanted to be. I did my thing, and I wasn't interested. But I did. I was very clear to Andrea that said, "Hey, I love you guys. I appreciate everything that you ever did for me. And if you do so happen to want to bring me on to help in any other way, I would do it with no compensation, because it's not that I don't want to be a part of it. I just don't want to compete again." It really stressed me out. Before I went there, I didn't have one gray hair, and now I'm like a fucking solid 50-50 bar.
Yeah. Well, I think it's smart. Like, quit while you're ahead kind of scenario. Totally. And it is a different game.
It is.
You don't know what you're getting into.
Right.
You don't know who you're going up against. It's like, it would be like accepting a boxing match without knowing who the person was.
For sure.
It's a lot of things people don't know that they're getting into when they get into it.
Well, and also it's been 10 years. So, all the negativity that came along with that is so far back in the tide.
Yeah.
And I like that. So I didn't want to bring that back, because that's a stressful shit, man. You don't want to deal with that,
Well, no matter what, when you put yourself in the spotlight, you're gonna get some negativity out of it.
Yeah.
No matter what.
There was also talk about a whole separate TV show, and of course this is probably 5 years ago. They were going to do something called Stews, Brews, and Tattoos. They pitched a whole thing with me, this female bartender from LA, and a chef from New York City. Said it was going to be a lot like kind of like an Anthony Bourdain type thing. They were going to send us all over the whole country.
Yeah.
We were going to go get a drink at a dive bar. We were going to go get a meal at a restaurant, and we're going to walk into a local tattoo shop. And I thought that was such a cool thing, and I was so bummed that it fell off the plate. But
man,
it would be cool.
There's been so many, not just tattoo TV shows, but there's so many pitches and so many ideas and so many pilots and so many shows. It's insane.
Yeah.
Like it's just so insane. I don't remember the exact percentages, but it was mind blowing. They said out of, I think, every 1,000 TV shows that are thought of, that are pitched, only one of those 1,000 gets a pilot.
Yeah.
And out of every show that gets a pilot, out of 1,000 shows that get a pilot,
only one
actually gets a show.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And then out of every show that gets made, out of 100 or more shows that get made, only one get a season 2.
Wow, that's so crazy to think about that. Yeah.
And so you get a show like Ink Master that gets 13 seasons with me on it. It's insane.
Yeah.
And then, but you see other shows you probably forget them because any show that only made one season, you probably never saw it.
Yeah.
Because the show.
And how many seasons were there on Ink Master? 17?
13.
That's so
And
much.
then
cool.
They've done 2 more since.
Yeah. And they still play them today.
Yeah. But a show that only gets one season,
right,
never going to be on reruns.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A show that gets 5 or 6 seasons, it's going to be on reruns for years.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
So it's just like everybody, everybody nowadays, probably 50 people that have said, "Oh man, we're talking about making this show."
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure. It's
common. How many of those 50 people have a hit TV show?
None.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's crazy. I know every month of my life, somebody is like, "Oh man, we're going to make this show. We're doing the show. They're talking to me about the show. We're going to make a pilot for the show."
Yeah.
And then people will call me when Ink Master was still going. People will call me and say, "Hey man, I'm going to be on Ink Master next season." And I was like, "All right, maybe." And the first time that happened, I'm like, sweet.
Yeah.
I know some people will be on there. And then they want to film it.
You never see them.
They want to film it. I'm like, oh, where's so-and-so?
Yeah.
They're not here.
Yeah.
But it's like they tell people, you're going to be on, you're going to be on, you're going to be on. And then they wrangle you up, ring up. And then it got to the point where after so many seasons, people were like, oh man, I'm going to be on. Yeah. I'm like, let me ask you this. Have you signed a contract? Have they bought your plane ticket to New York yet?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, not yet. We're doing it next week. I'm like, you're not on.
I had a really good friend of mine, Jasmine.
You're not on.
That worked at Kings Avenue that like subleased her apartment and everything. And then literally 24 hours before she was supposed to leave, they were like, oh, we found somebody else.
They didn't buy people's plane tickets to go to New York until the day before filming.
Yeah.
Because they're still juggling. They're still juggling the numbers.
Right.
Season 1, I didn't get my plane ticket bought until 2 or 3 days before first day filming.
Yeah. So they could have switched you out too.
Yeah. For real. I was in negotiations.
Yeah.
And it was wishy-washy. And we had plans to go to Hawaii.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, you need to not go to Hawaii because we're going to need you, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, I haven't signed a contract yet. Yeah. And my lawyer was just like, ain't signed a contract, ain't a deal.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I'm going to Hawaii.
Yeah.
It was my fucking 40th birthday.
Yeah.
A big group of us went to Hawaii. So finally, they came to go to Hawaii. I hadn't heard from, they hadn't said yes yet. So I flew to Hawaii.
Yeah.
We're in Hawaii, what, a week maybe? And it's supposed to be there like a couple more days. And then like, I finally get a phone call and they're like, we've been trying to get a hold of you. I was like, oh, I'm in Hawaii. Sometimes you're out with the reception. It's like, well, it's a deal now. We need you to fly to New York tomorrow.
Yeah.
So they bought me a last minute, one way first class ticket from Hawaii to New York with a day's notice. Yeah. And I came back to the house. I said, I had to go to the fucking airport.
Yeah.
Like not to fly home.
Yeah.
I had to get in the rental car and drive over towards the airport to the airport parking lot so I could log into Wi-Fi on my phone so I could have a solid Zoom call or FaceTime call.
Right.
And I stood in the fucking parking lot of the airport on fucking Wi-Fi with the Zoom call for an hour finalizing the thing. And then I had to get in the car and drive back to the house with my business partner, a couple people work for me, my friends, my girlfriends, and I got, all right, guys, fly to New York tomorrow. I gotta leave Hawaii early. Thanks for coming to my birthday. See y'all guys later.
Yeah. What a trip.
Fucking weird.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Fucking weird. But yeah, a lot of people thought they were gonna be on there.
Yeah.
Until the last minute.
Right. And the endless amount of people that you saw on the internet that it's funny because they were like, they would get the DMs and they like to post it and be like, I got invited, but I'm not going to do it because I'm cool.
Well, the other thing I'll tell people is that the people that work for the show, the assistants and whoever they are that reach out to tattooers, they literally send emails to every single tattoo shop that they can get an email address to. Yeah. To every single tattooer they can get an email address to. So much so that for like 5 or 6 seasons in a row, they sent Elm Street Tattoo an email. Yeah, because it's just on speed dial. You want to be on Ink Master. Yeah. And they're like, do you know who you're emailing? Yeah. And finally I was like, y'all are emailing me to ask me if I want to be on here. And they're like, oh, we just email everybody. Yeah. And I'm like, so all these people like, oh, they want me. I'm like,
yeah, everybody gets the same email.
Everybody, they want as many people as they can.
Right.
I mean, they're trying to put the show together. They need a bunch of people.
Yeah, they need options.
So wild. But looking back, man, I'm glad I did it. I had a good time. I'm glad. People ask me all the time, do I miss it? I'm like, man, just like you. Yeah. I'm glad I did it. Yeah. I didn't think it was going to last as long as it did. Yeah. And I enjoy living my life. Dude. Like I'm out running around the world. I'm tattooing. I'm doing events. I'm riding my motorcycle. I'm free as a fucking bird. Yeah. When I was on the show, I was the least free I've ever been in my life. Yeah. Like before that show, I was free. Yeah. Traveling, conventions, drop of a hat, somebody wants to go to Vegas, I'm there, doing
Yeah.
whatever it is, and then all of a sudden,
Yeah. You got a schedule.
I'm like stuck in New York for 9 weeks.
Right.
Can't do anything. And
Yeah.
I'm just like, so it was hard.
Yeah.
It was tough.
sure.
It was hard. And I don't want to complain and act like, well, it's me. It's so hard, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But it was soul sucking.
Oh, for
you know?
sure.
Just,
Yeah.
I poured my soul into it.
Yeah.
Like I can't say that it was soul sucking because I devoted myself to it, but man, it drains.
Yeah. For
And I
sure.
would much rather be able to do whatever the fuck I want to do
Yeah.
than like you've been put through the ringer.
Yeah.
You got to go in to sit in that interview room
Yeah.
for hours.
For 6 hours.
Oh, here's the thing. I said earlier, you film 6 days a week.
Yeah.
You know what you do on the other day, the day off of filming?
Yeah.
You film.
Yeah.
Oh, but we're not filming the show. We're filming interviews.
Yeah.
So it's interview day.
Yeah.
So, oh my God.
And the worst is when you wake up the next morning, they're like, "Oh, the cameras weren't on. We got to do it again." Like, what?
They just want more
Yeah.
from you. They just want more from you.
And I get it. It takes a lot to make the show. But like you said, I'm really glad that I did it too. More than anything, I'm really stoked that I met you, dude. I consider you a good friend at this point.
Oh,
you know what I
dude.
mean? You've done a lot for me and I appreciate it.
Well, dude, I feel fortunate.
Yeah.
I met so many great people, so many great tattooers on that show. You being definitely one of them, and I really appreciate it. Think about, just to jump back on that interview thing for a second. You're sitting in that room,
Yeah.
and you're talking about you're doing your OTFs. So when something happens on screen, it like blips to you saying, "Oh man, I'm having a hard time doing this thing."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so it's like you in a different shirt talking
Yeah.
about how hard it is. We're trying to talk current
Yes.
terms about what's happening.
Right.
So you do that for every episode.
Yeah.
So you're in there doing all those videos
Yeah.
and interviews for over and over and hours and hours and hours. And you don't really know what's going on. So you're just going along with it.
Yeah.
But imagine this.
You're just in a green room.
Imagine, from my point of view,
Yeah.
I'm sitting in that interview room and they try to ask me hours worth of questions. When I've been on this show for 6, 7, 8, 9 seasons, I've watched the show. I know for a fact that this episode that's going to air is going to have me on screen for 3 minutes.
Yeah.
So at this point, how are they going to convince me to sit there and do a 3-hour interview?
Yeah.
I'm just like, this is crazy. Tell me what you want me. Tell me what we're talking about. I'll say the 5 seconds you're going to use,
Yeah.
and I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Like-
yeah. I want to go play my guitar.
I'm going to go get on my motorcycle. I'm going to do something. I'm going to beam. I'd rather just go to another room and just beat my head against the wall.
Right,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
And I'm just like, God. And they asked me a question. I'm like, why are you asking me that? You're not going to use me saying it.
Yeah.
Because they asked 18 people the same question. You're only going to go to one of us.
Yeah.
Like just by the last few seasons, me and Nunez were fucking just thin as a fucking thread.
I can't
And
even
we're just
imagine.
like, look, just fucking ask us the things that you really need and get it the fuck over with. I
Yeah.
can't sit in this room. Like, how are y'all want to sit in here for fucking hours?
Yeah.
Season 1, 2,
Yeah.
3, you're in there like, ooh, Kruseman's really having a hard time with this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then
That's awesome.
but when you live it and then you watch the episode, you're
Yeah.
just like, I was like, y'all go watch an episode. Tell me
Yeah.
how many seconds. Tell me how many seconds I'm on screen.
Yeah.
And that's what it's crazy.
30 seconds
but
for a whole episode.
It's crazy that people know me as much as they do from how little
Yeah.
I'm on screen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not like it's a movie with Brad Pitt where I'm on the screen for 2 hours.
Yeah.
I am just barely. I'm just barely. And half the time I'm on screen, I'm just sitting there next to Dave while he's talking.
Yeah.
I'm just- you know what I mean? Oh my
that's
God.
funny.
Well, what is next?
For me, I think I'm probably going to tattoo for maybe another 5 years. And I see myself in the future, maybe working at a campground, dude. Being happy, driving a golf cart, fixing shitters for people.
Yeah.
I don't need nothing major. I might move to a mobile home park at a ski town. Like I envision myself slowing down, you know?
Yeah. Well, you travel quite a bit.
I do. Yeah.
You have shops.
Yeah.
Multiple.
Yeah.
I want to come see this mall shop.
Dude.
Tell me about this mall shop.
Okay.
Tell the peeps what's going on.
So
There's not a lot of tattoo shops in malls.
Yeah.
Cruise Control here has a shop in a mall.
We're in between.
Like,
in between Victoria's Secrets and Dick's Sporting Goods. It's pretty fucking cool.
I was like, y'all have Orange Julius?
Yeah, no, we don't have that.
Damn it.
No hot dog on a stick. None of that. We've got Chinese food,
It's not the
Subway,
80s
all that
mall.
stuff. Yeah. Long story short, I used to work for a tattoo magazine called East Coast Ink. I did some interviews for people. So this guy named Dave came up to me at a Richmond convention one time and said, "Hey, man, this is my magazine. Check it out. Let me know what you think about it on Sunday." So I look at the magazine. Sunday comes around. He comes up to my booth. He's like, "What did you think about my magazine?" And I said, "I think your magazine sucks." And he's like, "Why?" And I said, "Well, because it's called East Coast Ink and you only have people from North Carolina in there." I was like, "You do realize that there's fucking ridiculous tattooers in New York City, Richmond, Virginia, all over the East Coast, like
Florida,
Yeah.
North Carolina, South Carolina,
Right.
Virginia,
Yeah.
New Hampshire."
Well, he tells me, he's like, "Well, I can't get any of them to do interviews with me." And I said, "Well, that's because you're not a tattooer." He's like, "Well, would you be willing to help me with it?" And I said, "Yeah, I'd totally be doing it." So first person I interviewed was Brian Bruno, who's a fucking
Bruno.
phenomenal.
Hey, I gotta say, Bruno.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
So
an inside joke. If you know it, you know it.
and I started asking questions that were untypical to normal tattoo interviews in magazines. You know, typical interview is like, what kind of ink do you use? What kind of needles do you use? What's your style?
How long you been tattooing?
Right. And my questions were like, hey, if you were a tattoo, what would you be and who would you want to live on? Stuff like that. So
Yeah.
this guy was like, "Dude, Dave's fucking awesome. He asks all these cool questions." So I did that for probably a year or two with him. He told me that he was going to open up the first tattoo shop in a major mall. And what did I think about that? And to be honest with you, Oliver, I thought he was fucking crazy.
You're like, that sounds terrible.
Yeah, totally. Well, he ends up doing this, and he's about a year and a half in. He convinces me and Kim into coming and checking this mall shop out. And we went there, and it was like a fucking light bulb going off in our head. We were like, Jesus Christ, this place is beautiful. It's busy. And then
It's clean.
Yeah. And he said, "Hey, listen,
No bums sleeping on the sidewalk.
no, every day somebody turns 18, they want to get tattooed. Where do your parents want to take you? Do they want to take you downtown where it's fucking sketchy? Or do they want to take you in a mall where it's safe?" So the light bulb went off, and we were living in Atlanta, Georgia at the time, which I hated.
It's a rough place.
Yeah, it was too hot for me. I love tattooing there. I got to work with Phil Colvin, which was cool. I got to work with Russ Abbott. So like tattooing wise, I learned a lot there, but I just didn't like living in Atlanta. So I sold my tattoo shop to Phil Colvin, put everything on the line. Me and Kim took every amount of money we had ever saved, and we fucking dove into this mall tattoo shop, moved to this town we had never been to, Hagerstown, Maryland, with 5 of our homies.
Hagerstown, Maryland.
Yeah, and we committed, and now we're 13 years later, and it is the best decision I ever made in my life because it is busy as fuck.
What's the name of the mall?
It's the Valley Mall in Hagerstown, Maryland, and it's Old Line Tattoo, and we're officially 13 years old.
Bingo.
Yeah, it's cool.
I first heard about it, and I was like, what the fuck? And
Yeah.
then I thought about it, and then I saw it online. I'm like, there are some perks.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
mean, there's the downsides that I thought of them instantly because I worked in malls as
Yeah.
a kid is that like the mandatory opening and closing times.
Yeah.
You have to follow that schedule.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
if we close, it's $1,000 fine
If you close early.
for a day. If we want to just not show up one day, we're getting $1,000 fine.
I mean, the stores I worked in the mall, if you opened up late, it's a fine.
Yeah,
If you closed
for
early,
sure.
it's a fine.
Yeah,
All kinds of things. So
Yeah.
there would be like the manager, if the manager lost a key and couldn't get there and
It's a
nobody
fine.
opened the door till an hour late, it was a fine.
Yeah.
So it's like all this kind of,
yeah,
it's kind of like buying a house where there's an HOA,
for sure.
and I
Exactly.
fucking hate that fucking
Yeah,
idea.
Exactly.
So there is some downside.
Yeah.
But you're open 7 days a week.
Yep. Open 7 days a week.
You don't get to choose your hours.
No, we do now because we've been there for 13 years
Yeah.
and we've built a great rapport with like the management system there, and I think that they really understand what we bring to the mall. They like it, especially after the TV show. They were like, "Oh, this is fucking cool. Everybody wants to come see this place." You
Yeah.
know. And we did a lot of events. You know, we copied you with the Friday the 13th, and we would do Black Friday specials and stuff like that.
Quick note for the record, Friday 13th coming up this week, but whatever. But for the record, I encourage everyone to do the Friday the 13th thing. A lot of people come to me and like, oh, are you mad that some people? I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I want everyone to have fun tattooing.
Yeah.
And that's what Friday 13th is for me, is have fun tattooing.
Yeah.
I wish a lot of, it's in every city.
Yeah.
I love it. Fucking stoked. So I'm glad you do it.
Yeah, we're doing it at Old Line. And a lot of times it's only like 2 or 3 of the artists that want to do it. And the other guys just want to do their booked appointments or whatever. But it's really cool.
Well, like I said, I worked in the mall as a kid. And I have held
Did you work at Vans?
No.
Okay.
There wasn't a Van store in Fort Worth when I was in the 80s.
Yeah.
We sold Vans.
Yeah.
I worked at a store called Physiques.
Yeah.
It was Physiques.
Yeah.
But it was spelled Fizzzeeks.
Yeah.
Physiques. But it's like Physiques. But it was a half skate shop.
Yeah.
Half surf shop. But there's no surfing in Fort Worth.
Yeah.
So it was geared towards volleyball.
Yeah.
Oddly enough.
Yeah.
Beach volleyball. So half the store was like side out.
Yeah.
Ultra hot.
Yeah.
Hot tuna.
Yeah. I remember.
Shit like that.
I remember hot tuna.
Baron knows about hot tuna.
Yeah, he's got it on his arm.
The other half of the shop was like skateboard, van, fidget streetwear, and hardware, skate decks and shit. I obviously worked on the skate side, but it was it was a killer job. You had fucking hot chicks coming in trying on bikinis all day long.
Oh yeah, for sure. Speaking of skateboarding, that shaped my life, and that turned me into the person that I was. You know, I grew up. All of my friends growing up in Southern California, not all of them, but there was a handful of them that are to this day very successful professional skateboarders. I grew up with Chris Markovich, Alfonso Rawls. I lived with Rob Dyrdek for a while. All of these people at a young age were making these major paychecks for riding a skateboard. And I think that it set in my mind, man, I don't want to bag these fucking groceries forever. Like, I got to find a cool job. So I went to San Diego Tattoo Land and I got my first tattoo. And I fucking knew when I got that tattoo that I wanted to do that one day. I just thought it was so cool. Like, what a cool job.
It is cool.
You know, it is the best fucking job in the world.
Fucking cool.
Yeah.
But back to the mall.
Yeah.
I've held on this affinity for the mall.
Yeah.
I love the mall. Yeah. I like to go to the mall.
Yeah.
The mall these days doesn't have as much for me.
Yeah.
But I still do like going to the mall. But some people just hate the mall.
They do. And I think that the malls overall are kind of like a dying thing.
Dude,
for some reason, our mall is not dying.
Well, that's good.
It is fucking banging.
A lot of the mall I worked at as a kid, gone.
Yeah.
A lot of malls are gone and they're dying quickly.
Yeah.
Because
you can get everything online.
Online shopping's
touch
killing.
of a button.
And I mean, we do order some shit online.
Yeah.
I am, you know, the eBay, I do get on the eBay, we do get on the Amazon, do these things, but I love engaging in personal commerce.
Dude, me too.
And I love going and buying things in person. And, you know, it's like, there's certain things that I'm just like, I don't want to buy that online. I want to see it first.
Yeah.
I want to know what it is first.
Yeah,
I want to make sure. Yeah. All this stuff. Man, so many people buying clothes online and then they buy it and it doesn't fit. And then it's like, it's so cheap. I'm not even gonna worry about returning it or whatever. I'm just like, what the fuck? Engaging in personal commerce, I love it.
Yeah, me too.
I hate the automated checkout. I refuse to use the automated checkout.
Right.
The mall is a place that doesn't have the automated checkout.
Yeah.
Almost, I guess there might be some place in the mall that has it.
Yeah.
The mall is great.
It is.
Fondest memories as a child of being at the mall.
Yeah.
And I think that if you could be 18 and go to the mall and get a tat, that could be cool.
And one of the coolest things is, you know, I'll have these couples will come in and either the wife is getting tattooed or the husband's getting tattooed.
And they can go get a pretzel.
Or watch a movie.
Ooh, you know, I do love the movies.
Yeah. They can go down to the movie.
Love the movies.
They've got fucking video game places in there. Like, it's just cool, you know?
It's sad that's another thing that's dying that's sad is the act of physically going to the theater and seeing movies.
Yeah.
We still go to the movies.
Yeah. Well, you see more and more movie theaters are popping up that have like the whole full-blown custom chairs. And I think that they're doing everything they can to get people to want to go
high-priced, mediocre food.
Yeah, now they're opening up
if you can be really comfortable and chill and watch a movie, and you'll be willing to pay for some mediocre food.
Well, and somebody just needs to step it up from the lazy boy chair, and they need to put walls up, and they need to have
they have it
king-size beds.
Not a bed.
Yeah.
But we went to this theater in New York that each 2 seats is like surrounded with this wall that goes above your head.
So you're in your own private thing.
A love seat thing that lays all the way back, and you can't see the seat in front of you. And it's like you can't see another person.
That's cool.
You can't. I mean, you have to like stand up and look over the wall.
When we were 17 years old. Phew, that would be awesome.
Hand jobs. I mean, it was hard as a kid to get a hand job in the movie theater.
Oh,
like you had to there had to be almost nobody else in the theater, and you had to convince them to go all the way to the back row.
Yeah, I was late to the party. I didn't even get laid till I was a senior in high school because I was too busy skateboarding. I didn't care about the girls. You know what I mean? I just cared about if I could do a kickflip or a method off of a launch ramp.
Yeah, that's pretty much all you care about until you get a hand job.
Yeah, and then you're like, fuck that skateboard. It's collecting dust. Going to the beach with my blanket.
Oh, man. But I will say this, that movie theater we went to, it's been a few years ago that we went to it, and it was not cheap.
No. Nothing's
Especially
cheap
in
anymore.
New York.
Everything is crazy expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, 3 years ago, you could go get groceries for $200. Now it's $500.
Yep.
It's crazy.
They call that Bidenomics.
That's awesome.
That's what they call it.
Yeah.
And they say it's doing great.
Yeah.
That I heard on the news, on television, prominent politicians being proud of Bidenomics. Said, that's Bidenomics hard at work.
Yeah. But just if it's not working. That's the problem.
No. They said it's working.
Oh, okay.
So
well, as long as they say it.
Shut up and listen to them. They said it's working.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Don't you know how this goes?
Yeah, I do.
Just listen to them. They know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
So the other shop, we got to talk about the other shop.
Yep. So it's called El Camino Tattoo. It's in Encinitas, California. And I actually sold my portion.
But you still go there
before we open. So we don't physically open for a few more weeks.
Okay.
And I didn't really sell my portion. I just gave up the money that I had invested in it in exchange to become an employee. And the reason why I did that is
because
he's
a smooth operator.
Well, here's the reason I did it. Because me and my ex-wife, we split our time with the shop in the mall 50-50.
Yeah.
So she goes 1 month and I'm in California, and then we switch. And I started thinking to myself, okay, I'm going to have these business partners that are going to build resentment against me because I'm going to already be gone for every other month. And then I'm going to come to town and I'm going to feel obligated to tattoo for 30 days. And I love skateboarding, snowboarding, hanging out with my son and my daughter. And I thought to myself, man, I might want to every other month only work for 10 days, or I might want to only do 3 days. Maybe I will work the whole month. I don't know. But I didn't want to have any like tie downs. And the older I get, the more freedom that I want. So I was like, hey, why don't you guys keep my portion of the investment and just turn me into a 70-30 employee, and everybody wins. And they were super cool about it. My partners, Evan and Paula, are two of the most amazing humans I've ever met. The shop is going to be fucking killer. It's called El Camino Tattoo. It's the first tattoo on historic El Camino Real.
Cool.
Second tattoo shop in Encinitas, California in 30 years. So we're going to kill it, dude. It's cool.
Well, you had a shop in San Diego.
I did. Shut it down because of COVID.
2020.
Yeah. Yeah, we signed a 7-year lease on it. We made it 3 years before COVID happened, and we were just fucking done, dude.
I mean, California was a really hard place to be in COVID. I shut down True Tattoo in 2020. Y'all, most people know that.
It's a hard place to be right now. Yeah. You know?
Well, I mean, it was hard before 2020. So as soon as 2020 happened, I was like, this ain't gonna work.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I'm stoked on that decision. I'll stick to keep an old line.
Yeah.
And I'd like to do a lot more traveling.
You travel a shitload.
Yeah.
You tattoo everywhere you go.
Yeah.
You want to get a tattoo from Dave Kruseman? It's not that hard.
Nope.
You're ready to do it. You're easy to get a hold of.
Yep.
You're probably going to be somewhere close to you in the next year. You're
Yeah.
coming to Dallas soon.
Yep.
That's right.
Yep.
I'm just trying to lock that in so you're
Yeah.
solidified.
And all they got to do is crawl into my DMs on Instagram, and I'll get back to them. And
I think they
tattooed.
call it sliding.
Sliding into the DMs. Yeah.
Crawling sounds very strange.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sliding into the DMs.
Yeah. Slide into the DM. You do all your booking through Instagram.
I do.
You don't
Yep.
do the emails.
Nope. All Instagram.
All right. So you heard it here.
Yep. And
Yeah.
if I tattoo you, I just give you my cell phone number at that point, and you can text me.
So crawl into the Dave Kruseman on Instagram DMs.
Slide into the DMs.
Oh, yeah. Now you got me crawling. Slide into the DMs on Dave Kruseman on Instagram. You can get a tattoo.
Yeah.
It'll be an Elm Street tattoo at least once a year.
Yeah, and do it as soon as possible, because every year that goes by, I get a little more shaky. So you can either get a shitty tattoo for me in 15 years or a decent one now.
Yeah. Wait, you said 15. Now you're tattooing 15 more years? A minute ago it was 5.
Well, I don't know. I probably till I die, to be honest with you. I don't have any other choice.
I mean, I'm definitely going to tattoo as long as I'm
Yeah,
able.
for sure.
As long as I'm
And
able.
I look at a lot of the older tattooers, like Eric Inksmith, like
Eric
fucking
Inksmith
still
is
does
still
amazing
good.
tattoos. So I hope that I can be like that. You know what I mean?
Eric
That's
Inksmith
cool.
is still good.
Oh,
I mean, he's not tattooing obviously near as much as
no,
he used to, but
but they
he's
still look great.
still great. Still
Yeah.
great tattoos. If you can hope to be a fraction as good as he is,
Yeah, then
you
you're
know,
winning.
Then yeah, you're doing
for
great.
sure,
Well, man, thank you so much.
dude. Thank
What
you.
else? What else can you tell me before you get out of here?
Whew, a little bit about my life. I was born and raised in Los Angeles, California, by my amazing mom, who now lives in North Carolina, and my father, who was murdered when I was 11 years old. He was a professional race car driver. His wife at the time, I think, as far as I know, was having an affair with a mechanic, and they set the car up to fail. And my life completely changed at that point because our financial situation went out the door. We moved to a trailer park in San Diego. My mom met this Marine who is now the most amazing father I've ever had. I've got 2 amazing kids. My daughter Savannah's 22 years old. She just graduated from SDSU. She's going to be a physical therapist. I've got a stellar 18-year-old son who works at a pizza parlor right now and is not 100% sure what he's going to do yet, but he loves snowboarding and skateboarding, and I'm fucking a happy man.
And
Can't
growing weed.
complain. Yeah, he likes weed. It's cool.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Man, that's a whole wild ride to unpack. We're not even gonna go down the family tree for you. You got a crazy shit.
Yeah, it's a lot. And maybe we'll do another podcast and just talk about that.
Yeah. Well, cool. Well, again, thank you so much. It's just cool.
Dude, stoked.
Bam.
Thank you so much.
Take it easy, guys.
Yep.
Hey, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Come on, guys. Click all those links. Push all those buttons because it really helps us out and gets us out there to more and more peeps. What in the Duck podcast is produced by Audra Cabral and John.com Niederkorn. Our sound, video engineer, and editor is Courtney, Junior Larkins. Initial audio-video setup and intro music by Blake Balake Pinchon. And a big thanks to everyone that submitted questions. Y'all keep them coming. Email me any questions you would like me to answer to whatintheduckpodcast@gmail.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on What in the Duck. What in the Duck podcast is proud to be sponsored by Label Solutions, www.labelsolutionsinc.com. I've been a customer of theirs for over a decade. They make the highest quality premium labels for all kinds of products. Food and beverage, personal care products, pet care products, beer and wine spirits, CBD products, automotive products, and more. They can make a label for almost anything. Multicolor, custom die cut, full wraparound labels, too many options to even tell you about. I use Label Solutions for all the stickers and labels for my stuff, like the Tiki Loco label on the coffee I'm drinking right now. They do have a minimum order of 1,000 labels, so they won't make you 20 labels for that soap you're making in your bathtub. But if you've got products to label, you need Label Solutions. Get started today at www.labelsolutionsinc.com.